Disclaimer. The contents of Studio 151 podcasts do not represent the views and beliefs of the TU Media Lab or the University of Tulsa.
Welcome to the Balls Talk Sports NFL podcast. I'm Elson Gratz, joined by my co-host Victor Ratliff, who knows way more than me about the 2025 NFL Draft. Today is a big day. Our first official 2025 NFL Draft episode. It's our Mock 1.0.
Yup.
I'm extremely excited. Can I say the same about you?
Yeah, I'm hyped. Listen, we wanted to get a draft episode out last week, but they locked us out of the building, so
They know that they can't contain us. They
Exactly.
actually have to lock us out.
exactly. And you know what? I saw on the Studio 151 page, somebody posted like, "Oh, here's what's going on in the world," and they talked about the Super Bowl on their episode.
Are you kidding me?
Like, what? Leave that to the professionals.
Exactly.
Leave that to the Balls Talk Sports guys.
That's our area of expertise where we'll record an excellent episode with some excellent predictions and some not so excellent production quality. We got screwed over by Adobe Edition, and now nobody knows how accurate our predictions were. Just have to take our word for it.
Unbelievable. But we're here. Draft season's finally kicking off, and we've been in the thick of it for a few weeks ever since the Super Bowl, just grinding the players out, making sure that we're in a good spot for Mock Draft 1. And I don't think I know more about the draft than you do. I wouldn't say that. I mean, have you seen the Psychics Big Board 1.0? I mean, it's glorious.
It's got a lot of players on it.
It does.
And we're filling in the cracks right now. But that is one of my favorite parts of the process, is not just like doing full hardcore evaluations on. I like to try and get to like the top first 3 rounds or so, and then maybe some more polarizing players down the board. But just trying to learn as much as I can, being Dane Brugler without having the pay for doing draft stuff that Dane Brugler has. So basically being an expert and talking out of my ass about these things.
Yeah, guys, you got to remember, listen, while we would love to get to 400 prospects every year, unfortunately we do have lives in the school to deal with, so we probably won't be able to get to everybody that's drafted, even in the first 3 rounds.
Probably.
That's probably. That we've made. I feel like we're both watching tape at a rate we've never watched it before.
Oh, certainly.
Like
certainly.
going through guys quicker than I thought. So honestly, since I like, for everybody I have a first round grade on, I like to do a full write up, like page and a half, 2 pages.
It'll be the same for me.
That takes almost as much time as watching film. The actual valuation part. So I'm thinking I should sell the draft guide to all of our loyal listener.
I'm glad to hear that it's the same for you as it is for me, because I feel like I spend just as much time writing as I do watching.
But I feel like it's worth it because when you write the evaluation, you get to know the player a little bit better. It's like you compile all your thoughts into. You got to think really about how you feel about the player.
It's the exact same way for me. It feels like I get through the 4 or 5 games of all 22 that I'm watching, and I have a gist of how much I like the guy, and then it feels like you establish a line of reasoning in your head when you really write it out. Like, you think about how they're going to be projected into the NFL, what they're doing at the next level, not just what their skill set is. It feels like that's where you really make your value judgment on a player. I think that's a very important part of the process.
100%. It's super important. And even then, even when I don't do the full write-ups on guys, like round 2 through 3s, 3 through 4s, I'll put some bullet points. Here's your strengths. Here's your weaknesses. You know, I did that with a couple of the Texas defensive linemen that I watched that didn't quite make it in the round 1 through 2 grades. But yeah, just that's the grind of draft season, and it's not going to stop for the next 2 months. Is it tiring? Yes, but it is also glorious. So are you ready to get into the mock draft 1.0?
Absolutely. You could say that I'm ready to get kinky even.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. I'm ready to get kinky too. So we decided this before the pod. You're going to start off with 1. I'm going to go 2. It's just going to be you're taking odd picks. I'm going to take even picks.
I think so. Should work out pretty nicely.
Yep.
We'll get into with some of the team fits.
Yeah. And this is what we would do because we don't know enough about what other teams would do yet.
Well, also, what we would do matters more.
Absolutely. We obviously know more than all these GMs.
No trades in this mock. Partially because it's a 1.0, and we want to lay the framework.
Exactly.
Don't want to mess around with that, but also because I'm so tired right now. I am dead tired. I couldn't mentally compute trades. There's like a solid chance that I wind up picking Kenny Pickett to the Chiefs in this one. So if any of the picks seem just off the wall insane, on my end at least, that would be why.
I'll let it go by. It's been a long week, to say the least.
That's a great way to put it, Victor.
Yeah.
All right, without further ado, I've got the Tennessee Titans with the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Da 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 da. They still do that jingle, right?
Oh, yeah. That's what you were trying to do.
Da 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 da.
Yeah, there it is.
It's not as good without the melody. All right, so in the interest of this being a what I would do mock, I can't take a quarterback with this pick. I don't think it would be egregious if the Titans end up selecting Cam Ward. However, with the intel we've got right now, I am leaning Travis Hunter, which is my favorite pick here. Travis Hunter is a really unique type of prospect, obviously. I don't think that he has to be, I don't want to say generation. He doesn't have to be some insane wide receiver or a cornerback prospect to be worthy of a top 5 pick of the number 1 overall selection, because you do have sort of a safety net with him. You feel pretty damn good that Travis Hunter is going to be a stud at either wide receiver or cornerback, but when you put those two positions together, I do think that it adds value overall, because this is a player who can be a contributor at cornerback or wide receiver depending on what you need more, but I think that you can ease him in. Say you play him as a cornerback primarily. That's going to be his year 1 responsibility. And then you slowly work him in. You get him a package on offense, and you give him the high value snaps where he's going to be scoring touchdowns, where he has opportunities for run after catch. I think that you feel pretty solid about picking Travis Hunter number 1 overall.
Absolutely. I mean, this is by far and away the best player in the draft, in my opinion. And I'm gonna ask you, where do you prefer him, corner or wide receiver? Because most people prefer him at corner.
I do think it's based on team need, which is, it's kind of a funny argument here, because
Still,
he's probably not making it outside the number 1 overall pick. We'll see. I think I like him better at corner. He's very much a legit wide receiver, not just because of the athleticism. For a guy who's a third-year junior and really young and winning off athleticism, I don't think his nuance at the position is terrible. There's obviously work for him to do. He's not the tightest route runner, in my opinion, but how do I want to phrase this? I think that you can make a case that Travis Hunter is the most athletic player in the draft. Not because he would run like a 4.3 or something like that, or because he has Tank Dell-like agility and acceleration. He's just always playing ahead. He doesn't operate with any wasted movement, and he's clearly an extremely fast information processor. Remember, this is still a guy who's really young. He's not experienced, and he is dominating college football playing 2 positions at once. What he's going to be able to do when you allow him to focus on one, man, his development curve is fantastic. I think I'd like him better at corner, because corner's the reactive position. I think it's harder to get really high-impact guys at cornerback than it is at wide receiver, but I think you feel good about him at both.
absolutely. I'll say this, though. I think this may be one of my takes of the draft. I think he's a better receiver than he is at corner. I don't know if I'd play him at receiver because, as you said, corner's a higher impact position. It's less in need. And with cornerback, he can major in corner and minor in receiver, whereas I don't think you can really play corner if you're not playing corner full time.
I feel the same way.
But Travis Hunter is a wide receiver. I'm going to say it once. I think Travis Hunter as a wide receiver is the best player in the class. Full stop. Even if he didn't play corner. Full stop, the best player in the class. I don't think I've ever seen somebody understand tempo as a receiver more than Hunter does. Ever. And he's a third-year junior. The only complaint you'll have is, sometimes the routes could be tighter, but because he has that great athleticism that you talked about, that all-around athleticism that is just, shot out of a cannon, so loose and just so goddamn sudden, it's really easy for him to win and get that margin for error in the route running. Also, he's really good at fakes. He understands what it takes to beat a corner, because he is a corner. And he's a little bit your complaint with him is probably it's a slight frame. That's maybe your biggest concern with him, 185 pounds. But, man, you watch him play the position, he can catch super well. He just doesn't drop the football. And even in traffic, he's going to get laid out, and he's going to hold on to the damn ball. And he's also going to go up there and take it out of the air. He's super good at that. Even if his catch radius it might be limited, he's still 6'1". He can snag it out of the air because he's got a competitive fire after the catch. He's as electric as anybody in the class, not named Tetaro McMillan. There's just not many flaws. He's an elite athlete. a super smart player, a guy who you also want in your locker room, high motor, high competitive fire, great guy, clearly wants it. Anytime a guy is like, yeah, I want to play 2 positions in the league, I want to be getting hit by guys for 60 minutes instead of 30, I want that guy on my team. So Hunter, best player in the class, best even as a receiver, but as a corner, you can make an argument he's the best player in the class as well. Just a supernatural prospect. I don't know if he's generational in either one, but you definitely don't see a player like this every generation even.
When possibly your biggest flaw is that you're like modestly undersized
Yeah.
and it doesn't translate onto the field and you have no injury history, that's a damn solid prospect.
That's pretty good. So number 1 of the Titans?
Absolutely. Lock it in.
They've got their savior. All right, that means I am up for the Browns at number 2, and again, this is another potential quarterback spot, and I think I consider Cam Ward here. I think I absolutely do, because Cam Ward's a really solid player. I don't think I'm going to go to the Cam Ward well. Instead, I'm going to pivot to the defensive line, not to the player that your mind immediately jumps to, but to a different player. Mason Graham out of Michigan. Just all around probably the most polished player in this class. If you had to put money that one guy from this class plays in the league for 5 to 6 years, gets a second contract, I think that player would be Mason Graham. You know, as a pass rusher, his finesse, his quality in that is elite. His swipe move is downright scary, almost impossible to stop. Timing, force with his hands is incredible. As a run defender, he sticks in his spot and does not move, which is especially impressive for a guy that's only like 300 pounds. But he just doesn't move. He sticks his hands. He diagnoses the play at just a truly elite level. Guys will never get past him. He understands blocking schemes. Just an A-plus run defender. And there's just no downside to him. Maybe he doesn't have the elite ceiling because, I don't know, his arms are a little short. I guess his arms are a little short. And you'd like to see him convert speed to power on the bull rush a little bit more consistently. But when it does, it looks real good. So Mason Graham, I just don't think you can go wrong with him. And Cleveland just needs talent, especially with Myles Garrett leaving. You can consider Abdul Carter here. He has the higher ceiling for sure. But Graham is a guy who has a legit chance to be a Pro Bowler year 1.
I was going to ask if you were at all concerned about the 32-inch arms. Are we just kind of playing the Aiden Hutchinson game here?
Well, the interior defensive line and edge are different
That's
positions.
just it. It matters even less.
Yeah, it matters even less. And then it's just like, yeah, I'm a little concerned about it, especially because the bull rush is a relatively weak point of his game, even though it's still good. I have him graded out as a B at power, which is higher than most defensive line prospects. It's just his finesse is an A, so it's just, okay, that's comparatively lower. Yeah, at first you're a little concerned about it, and it might limit his ceiling, but then you also got to remember Aaron Donald had 32-inch arms. So, and might be the best defensive player to ever he might be the best football player to ever step foot on the field. He's not Aaron Donald. But
that we know of.
Yeah, but the cross chop did look pretty good, man. It did look pretty nice. He's working on a spin, and I think you'd like to maybe string a couple moves together, but again, competitive fire. One of, if not the best run defenders in the class, definitely the best pass rushing interior defensive lineman in the class. I feel perfectly comfortable taking him at 2.
This is a player who's refined well beyond his years. This is a true junior.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the only guy in this class. You can make comments about Travis Hunter, although Travis Hunter, I think you like him as the number 1 overall prospect in the class because he does play a position that maybe provides a little bit more value on average. I think Mason Graham is the rare kind of prospect that has like a Pro Bowl floor, just extremely high floor. And if you're the Cleveland Browns, you just need good players at this point, and I don't see how you pass that up.
Absolutely.
All right, now I've got the New York Giants at number 3, and you passed the quarterback bomb on to me.
I did.
And I got to think about this. Do I go for it? I know what my notes say. Man, I think you got to draft Cam Ward here.
I'm in agreement with you.
Look, if you didn't have Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns anchoring the defensive line, well, obviously Sexy Dexy in there on the interior as well, maybe you can talk yourself into going at Abdul Carter, who, even if we're both a little bit lower on him, I obviously do still like him a whole lot. But I don't think you can make that pick. I don't think you can go Will Campbell here, although I would entertain it because they do need offensive line.
Yeah.
I got to go Cam Ward. You need somebody to throw Malik Neighbors the football. You need somebody to keep the fans content after the atrocity that they just watched. And look, if you're going to have a quarterback in this class playing behind a bad offensive line on day one, because I do think he's your day one starter, I don't think you're messing around with a bridge guy.
Probably, yeah.
I don't mind it being Cam Ward. Obviously, a guy who's a playmaker who can improvise, and he's got the college experience. He has experience in less than stellar surrounding situations. I mean, he worked his way up from Incarnate Word. He's gone through a lot of adversity. I think he's
100%.
going to be more than able to handle the New York media market. Is it a guarantee that it works out? Absolutely not, but I do think that, and maybe this is a little bit of a spoiler, Cam Ward is the one guy in this class that I look at as you draft him with the expectation of it being your franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Ward is he's a really good player, and in a normal QB class, he doesn't go this high. I've struggled with my evaluation on him. I don't know if he would be higher than any of the six guys last year. I honestly don't know. He might be higher. I would probably have a higher grade on him than I did Penix.
I was going to say he's got to be above Penix, right?
I didn't like Penix. So
and you were a Bo lever.
I was a Bo lever.
You were a little higher
and
on Bo.
I liked McCarthy and Bo both, and I obviously really liked Daniels, May, and Williams because they were all great prospects. But he would be number 6 last year, and here we are taking him at number 3. But the Giants, they need quarterback.
I don't think this is an egregious reach. I don't think this is taking Daniel Jones.
Because especially it's like, to an extent, the Giants have a decent roster. So I don't know if you're going to be picking high enough next year to that being said, the Giants always seem to be picking really high because you have a dysfunctioning organization. That's your reward. But there's no guarantee you're going to be picking this high because you've got Burns, you've got Lawrence, you've got Kayvon Thibodeau, I guess.
He's a 2. He's fine. He's a piece.
Yeah, and you got Malik Neighbors, and you got a couple guys in the secondary that you really like. So I don't know if you're going to get the chance to draft a quarterback, and Cam Ward absolutely can be your franchise quarterback, shown a lot. I don't think he should fall out of the top 10, and 3 is a perfectly fine spot for him.
I think it's plausible that this is maybe a trade down spot if somebody wants to come up for Abdul Carter. We'll see in our BTS mock draft 2.0.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll do trades then. Though I've never been the biggest fan of trades because it's kind of
especially in a collab mock.
Yeah, I do like trades in a collab mock because then we can actually trade with somebody else. It's just like, I'd like to trade up, please. Fuck no.
Grab the cell phone.
Listen, Green Bay, yeah. Can I want to trade up to 23. Oh, you're drafting Smail London? Okay, my bad.
Never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake, as they say.
Exactly. Okay, Cam Ward to the Giants at 3. I love it. So we got Hunter Graham Ward as your top 3 picks. Number 4 on the clock for the Patriots. I think it comes down to 2 guys here. And I think you can pick your poison between these 2. I have them graded out very similarly. But ultimately, I'm going to go with the bigger need. And that is Will Campbell from LSU to the Patriots at 4. Obviously, you'd love Abdul Carter in this spot, but as I said, they're really close on my board. Campbell's a notch above him, and they need tackle a lot more because the fact that Drake May showed you last year he could survive back there doesn't mean that you should just let him get thrown to the wolves every year. You'd like to see some legitimate development out of him, and getting a franchise left tackle will absolutely do that, and I do think Will Campbell is a franchise left tackle. The arm length does not bother me that much. We'll see where he comes in at, probably around 33 inches. You'd love it if he's 33 and a half. We'll see, though. But ultimately, I don't think it affected his play as much as some people did. I think some people, they came in, I know Will Campbell's got short arms. I'm looking for every single possible scenario where that could have affected his play. I think it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. And when I watched him at first, I didn't know about the short arms thing because he was one of the first guys I got to. And I was like, I only realized halfway, his arms are kind of short. That didn't affect him much, though, so I think he'll be okay. Yeah, maybe it limits the ceiling, just like Mason Grant. Maybe it limits the ceiling, but when you've got a guy who's this technically sound in his feet, in his hands, he always knows when to strike, always lands the strike, you know what I mean? He can frame a guy really well. He's got really great athleticism to get out of his kick step and into the backdrop. And then also the reactive athleticism to mirror his guy around the edge when he's trying to hit with a bend or on the counter. And in the run blocking game, a nasty, nasty, nasty player. Loves to hit guys. Again, lands the hands and drives straight through them. I think his anchor's good. Maybe it's not great, but it's good enough. When you have shorter hands as linemen, you need two things. You need good athleticism, and you need great technique and hand placement. And Campbell has both those things. So he checks the boxes for me, and I'm perfectly fine spending a top 5 pick, especially because we need Drake May up right back there if we want a chance at being a valuable organization to the league. So Patriots, Campbell at 4.
He was number 1 on my board for the Patriots as well. Certainly would have been my pick. Like you said with Drake May, he was functional behind an absolutely garbage offensive line. But I think that your argument for going O-line here is twofold. For one, okay, he was pretty solid behind a bad offensive line. What can he do with more time? What can he do if things are better? He doesn't have to be limited by a bad offensive line his entire career. And second, let's be real about this. For Drake May to return value as the number 3 overall pick, he does have to take a step up.
Oh, yeah.
He has not arrived yet. I think he's absolutely proven himself as a starting quarterback in the NFL, but you want him to be a franchise quarterback, Patriots are going to want to see that in year 2. And you've got to do your due diligence. You got to eat your vegetables. You got to get them playmakers, which I think you can do down the board in this class potentially. Maybe in free agency, maybe you give T. Higgins $60 million a year.
There's plenty of guys in the round 2 through 3 pool of receivers.
Jack Bash, future Patriots receiver. Next Julian
Williams, maybe?
Possibly. Get both of them. Rounds 3 and 4. Deviled it. There you go. So obviously you like bolstering the offensive line here. However, like you said, this is a guy who projects as probably a franchise tackle. Can you just kick him into guard if things are a problem with the arm length at tackle? He feels extremely safe to me.
Will Campbell can be a Pro Bowl tackle. He can be the best fucking guard in the league, man. There's no cap to his ceiling at guard. There's a cap to his ceiling at tackle. None at all. He would be a fantastic guard. I say fail him at tackle first just because I think he can do it, and that's a much more valuable position. But yeah, I mean, he kind of follows the Skoransky path of short arms, throw him at guard, though. If he fails a tackle, throw him at guard. That's exactly what they did. Now Skoransky is a plus guard for the Titans. Or he's getting there. And Campbell has longer arms than Skoransky did. I think Skoransky came in at 32.02 or 32.04, and Campbell's going to come in at least 33. So
you just casually get Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, that's the downside of this pick. You get Quentin Nelson.
Oh, no. I got to punch these into the simulator real quick because I completely forgot to do that. No Abdul Carter off the board yet.
I'm fascinated to see where you go with this next pick, because this is one of the most wide open ones in the draft. You got to put yourself in the feet of the 29-year-old GM, James Gladstone. They hired Benjamin Solak in real life, because we all know Benjamin Solak's not a real person.
All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars with the number 5 pick. And Victor, like you mentioned, this one is wide open. There are a lot of different directions you could go here. And this isn't an easy decision. I don't like that Abdul Carter's really falling down the board right now.
Can you take him here? Best player available.
But you can't take him here.
Best player available, but you've got 2 10-plus sacks. Pass rush artists. Well, not necessarily. You've got 2 10-plus sacks players in your edge room.
I'm going to go Teteroa McMillan.
Okay.
You're the wide receiver expert. Do you think that this is insane?
I don't think it's insane. I think you know that I'm a little bit lower on Tet McMillan than consensus. He's still a fantastic player, and taking him at 5, nothing wrong with it at all.
I hate that he's the guy I'm picking here, but to play devil's advocate, Liam Cohen, first-year head coach, one of the reasons they brought Liam Cohen in is because they want to get the most out of Trevor Lawrence. They want to exit this season with Trevor Lawrence being a clear-cut top 10 quarterback in the NFL. You've got Brian Thomas Jr. to be the route runner, to work downfield, and then you get Teteroa McMillan working underneath. I've been on the he's Drake London train for quite a while. Who's your comp for him, if you don't mind me asking?
My comp for him is T. Higgins, but Drake London, Mike Evans, all of them. All of the big, long, athletic receivers. They're fine.
I think at worst, you are getting a starting caliber X. This
Absolutely.
is a player who is tough as nails after the catch, catches everything, baseball mitt type of hands.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like there's a lot to dislike loading up on offense with the Jags and trying to turn that into a big strength for the team moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. And what's great about McMillan is the reason I have him a little bit lower on my board. And when I say lower on my board, I still think he's number 10 as of now, maybe 11. The reason I have him, I think he's a relatively unpolished route runner. There's just I'd like to clean that up a lot. There's some, but I still have him graded B minus overall in most categories, and he's a good deep route runner. So at 5, it's a little higher than 11, but it's not that much higher. And then you're right on. I mean, this guy, perfect hands. He just doesn't drop the football, and elite catch radius. He's going to go up and just rip it out of the air. No corner is ever going to be able to guard this guy in a 50-50 ball. And I think there's a difference between a contested catch guy and a guy who can make the contested catch. And I think McMillan's a guy who can make the contested catch. But then also, I have him as an A run after the catch. It's 6'5", 212. There's some guys who have athleticism is just better after the catch, and he's one of those guys. And if you improve the release package, because I think that's a little underdeveloped too, improve the release package, improve some of those nuances, quick cuts at the route break, got a potential all-pro. And when you've got a pretty high ceiling, that's really nice. And I love the pairing with Brian Thomas in Jacksonville. Gives him even higher ceiling because he doesn't have to be your number one right away. So love the pick, and can't go wrong with McMillan anywhere, really.
I don't think that this is a guy who's a future alpha like an A.J. Brown, but I think that he could absolutely be a tier 2 type of receiver like a Mike Evans. And with the 5th overall pick, is the value ideal? Since obviously that's still a projection. He has some work to do. Maybe not, but I don't think you're upset here.
But that's the thing. In this draft, it's kind of like you're going to be taking a player. I would probably like to take this player 5 spots lower. That's just always going to be the case. Like, if in the top 10 picks, that's just always going to be the case. After Travis Hunter goes, you'd probably just like, I'd like to take this player a couple spots down. And once you get to 12, they're all about the same.
I was going to say, you're at like pick number 20, and it's like, or what's a better way to phrase this? You're at like pick 70, and it's like, oh, I thought I would have had to take this guy 30 picks earlier.
Yeah, so it kind of flips on its back. But we're in the awkward part of the draft right now where it's like, you'd like to take somebody different.
It feels like there's not a ton of the clear blue chip talent. If you don't mind me asking, how many like blue chip caliber players do you have right now?
I haven't. 2. It's just gonna be 2. It's gonna be Hunter and GT.
Okay, so we're in pretty similar boats then.
Because I can't justify Carter, I can't justify Campbell, I can't justify Graham.
I think it depends on how you look at
Maybe
blue
Graham.
chip.
Maybe Graham.
Like, if a blue chip prospect is a guy that you feel almost certain is going to be a quality starter, that's a lot different than this is going to be a Pro Bowler at worst and an All-Pro at best.
I don't think it's Pro Bowler at worst, but in the way I define blue chip is kind of like, yeah, this is a guy that you are confident that he will be a Pro Bowler one day.
Okay.
It's not his floor, because nobody's floor is Pro Bowler realistically, but you're very confident that it's like Joe Alt last year. He's one of the only guys I'd ever say was like a legit Pro Bowl floor, and then guess what? First year makes the Pro Bowl. So I don't think I think GT and Hunter are those two guys. I wouldn't say that for anybody else in this class. I know a lot of people are going to say it for Carter, and we'll get to him very soon. But those are my 2. Do you have the same 2, or?
I think that, like you mentioned, Campbell is, or not Campbell. This is the tiredness kicking in. Mason Graham is arguable. I think I maybe even feel better about Campbell because in terms of what I think he can do at guard, where you do have a clear backup plan for him.
As guard, I think he might be. We just haven't seen it.
That's just it. Is he really a blue chipper if we're projecting him to an entirely new position? I would argue maybe yes, but I'm definitely not walking out of here with more than 4.
Oh, yeah. All right, number 6, the Raiders. I have to pick for the Raiders. All right, let's do this.
Tyler Shuck it is.
I would never give them Tyler Shuck.
Too good for them.
QB1 right there. All right, well, with number 6, I'm going to pick Max Prosper out of Minnesota. You know what? I think Max Prosper's really got that Raider.
Go all the way. Make it Spencer Petras.
I don't even know who that is. Okay. I feel like it's got to be Carter. But again, we're running into the fact we spent number 7 on Tyree Wilson just a couple of years ago, and we still got Max Crosby, though. Will you have Max Crosby at draft time? That's the question. And ultimately, what has Tyree Wilson shown you? Has he shown you enough to say, yeah, I think that I can be your number 1 edge after Max Crosby leaves? I don't think he's shown you enough. And I can't keep going past Abdul Carter's name and not drafting him. So it's going to be Carter at 6 to the Raiders, as much as I hate doing that, giving them him. So let's talk about Abdul Carter for a second, because I know we're both, I wouldn't say significantly lower on him.
I think he's the 6th best prospect in the average draft class.
Yeah. Like,
so this lines up very nicely.
He's a top 10 prospect in this class, a top 10 prospect in most classes, received a top 10 grade for me. Did not receive a top 5 grade for me, though. And only 3 guys did so far. And I've gotten to most, I don't think anybody, well, no, 4 guys did. No, only 3 guys did.
Travis Hunter twice.
Yeah, actually, he barely missed the top 5 grade on corner.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Travis Hunter is a receiver, Ashton Jeanty, and Mason Graham, and Will Campbell is a guard, but I haven't tackled. So Carter is such a tough prospect because he is legitimately a freak athlete. That term is overused as hell, but he was the first edge I watched this year, and in a class of freak athletes, he made them all look awful. Like, I watched James Pierce right after him, and maybe that's part of the reason I'm a little bit lower on James Pierce, spoiler alert, because it was just like, yeah, he's a good athlete, but he's nowhere close to Carter. But nobody's close to Carter, because he's just a superhuman, man. The bend, the speed, the get-off, there's just nobody like him. But that's it.
What do you think he would run for a 40 time?
He's not going to run it, but 4.42. Maybe even 4.3s would be nuts.
I think 4.39 is on the table.
It's on the tape. Like, that's a higher range of outcomes, but it's possible. And he would do some insane stuff in the 3-cone. He would do some insane stuff in the 20-yard shuttle. And he would have a ridiculous vert, like 44.
He has one of the best releases out of a 3-point stance that I've ever seen. Probably the best. I'm not afraid to say that it's the best uncoil from the 3-point that I have ever watched. And when I first heard about Abdul Carter, the converted off-ball linebacker, I was like, okay, we've seen this before. He's the classic, pleasantly athletic guy playing standing up. But no, this is a guy that I do think projects as definitely initially a 3-point defensive end. Because I think that he is freakishly strong as well. Obviously, he's not some like 270-pound edge setter. I think he came in at 250, maybe like 249 pounds at the combine. But I think that makes what he did even more impressive. This is a guy who battles for positioning on the edge and wins it pretty consistently. And his ability to just absorb contact from chippers, from double teams at times, I think it's absolutely astonishing. I think that maybe his worst athletic attribute is the ankle flexion. Like, he can't always turn the corner like butter, but the thing is, he can just, because he's so explosive, and I think he has excellent hip mobility, he can just, like, stick a hand on the ground, and boom, he's in the quarterback's lap. Overall, his bend grade for me is outstanding. I think he's a terrible pass rusher.
I wouldn't go that far.
I think he's one of the worst pass rushers that I have ever seen.
I wouldn't go that far, because he did get production for a reason, and a lot of it was athleticism. There were flashes, and I mean that very loosely, but there were flashes of him trying stuff at least. We saw a cross chop a couple of times. There was a spin I saw that worked a few times. It's not all bad, but I can count on my fingers the amount of times I really saw him use his hands. And it's going to be less times I saw him use them effectively. Just never put him up. He never even tried. And then you talk about a guy who's so fast and so strong, basically no conversion from speed to power. I don't think I saw a single really pocket collapsing bull rush.
I think I saw him get knocked back one time. He just does not have a speed to power rush in his bag.
It's great when you can just run around the edge and win, and that's awesome, and it's fun to watch, and it is absolutely a trait that will go in the league. You can do that. You can win reps like that, but you can never be an elite player like that. So his floor is low. And that is ultimately why he's not a blue chipper. That's why he was not in contention for the number 1 pick for me, or for you, but he wouldn't have been for me. Because what have you shown me that you can be an effective NFL player?
I definitely think that he's got a starting floor because I may be a little bit more impressed by his run defense reps than you were. I
That's
thought
probably-
that this is a guy who plays the run like a linebacker. I thought he was exceedingly smart for a true junior. Also a fantastic coverage dropper, obviously. I think this is the kind of player where on a pass rush down, you can mug him up over the center and then like drop him into man coverage against a slot tight end if you want to. He really opens up your bag if you're a creative defensive play caller. Obviously stunts, both as a looper and penetrator. And he's going to get some wins, even if the hands don't develop at all, which they will, because he's got a bag as a block shedder, in my opinion. Again, the linebacker background, he's playing edge for the first time.
Yep.
I think he's going to be a really good pro. And obviously, I think he's got a high ceiling. It hinges on whether or not his hands come along and whether or not he adds a power move as a rusher. Overall, this is, I think, a really good value at pick 6.
Yeah. And it's also like it is his first year at the position, and I'm always willing to bet on the guy that wants to be out there more than the other 21 guys do, and that is Abdul Carter. This is a stand-up guy off the field and a guy who is going to hit you on the field. I mean, he has one of the highest motors I've ever seen, man. He just never stops working towards the quarterback. And a lot of those wins, he will get you some coverage sacks because he's such a good athlete, but because he never stops, and that is part of what impressed me in the run game. I think he lost the ball too much for my...
At times, I saw him lose it on the exchange. Yep.
Yeah, for my liking, but and I think he's a good tackler. In coverage, I think he's absolutely good. I did watch a little bit of him as a linebacker, and it's very obvious why they transitioned him to edge. He's not a linebacker, but you can throw him back in there. If you want a guy who can drop back from the mug, take Jalen Walker. But Carter can do it. So there's a lot to like about him. He absolutely can be a starter in the league as a floor. He has superhuman ceiling, and he's a locker room guy that you want to draft. It's just, you're going to have to put in a lot of work. This is part of the deal. We're going to have to put in a lot of work. Develop those hands. Give him just a couple of things he can go to. Develop a plan. But ultimately, I think it'll happen. That's why I'm okay with taking. I think it'll happen. Like right now, this player is not going to succeed in the NFL. He's not going to be this player forever. He improved so much from his first game to his last game at Penn State. So it's uncomfortable to take him this high, but he really could be an insane value here.
It's a shame that something good has to happen to the Raiders, and I think it has here.
Yeah.
All right, now I've got the New York Jets with the 7th pick, and I'm going to go Will Johnson, the cornerback. I do think that with DJ Reed out of the building, they need to keep adding guys to the defense. The Jets are just in such a weird spot. I thought about Shedeur Sanders here.
Uh-huh.
I thought about get your quarterback and get a guy who I do think can execute an NFL system at an NFL level. Kind of like, okay, so obviously Aaron Rodgers is not my comp for Shedeur Sanders. But I think there are similarities in that Shedeur Sanders brings baggage with him. I personally think the character concerns on Shedeur are wildly over-scrutinized because he's a quarterback.
Yeah.
It's not so much his character, it's what comes with him. It's you invest in Shedeur Sanders, and maybe he winds up being the 20th best quarterback in the NFL, and what circus comes with that, because now this is a guy that you feel you have to be committed to, and at pick number 7, man, I just can't do that when there are really good football players like Will Johnson on the board. I think he's a solid fit for their press man scheme, and I think this is going to continue to be a fantastic Jets defense. Where are you as a team? I don't know, man. I just took the best player available.
He's a great player. No, don't have to say much else. I mean, just can't go wrong with Will Johnson. Superior zone cover corner. I mean, his eyes are in the backfield. He's looking to steal one, and he does. He steals it a lot. I saw somebody say that they were concerned about his ball skills, and that was one of the stupidest things I've ever seen because he's got great ball skills. He jumps on it. He makes the play at the point of contact. Sometimes he'll get a little grabby in man coverage. That happens. He's bigger corner.
I don't mind seeing that, honestly.
Like,
take one out of Sauce Gardner's playbook.
Exactly. It's just the Jets' play style at this point. the reason I don't have him as a top 5 prospect is just because, I mean, he's kind of a little stiff sometimes. He's not like an elite change of direction guy. And that'll kind of hinder him. He'll get beaten man coverage a fair bit because of that. Doesn't change him in zone. He'll be an elite. He'll be a guy you can just throw in day one. Play this zone. Just play a third. Let him come downfield and watch him make plays in the ball and be a lockdown corner for you. You can't miss prospect, really.
That's just it. Never going to be a player. You never like to say never, but almost certainly not going to be like what we've seen out of Sauce Gardner. I don't think that this is a guy that you can trust on a double move with no safety help over the top, but I do still think that he's sticky in man coverage fundamentally, and like you said, a stellar zone corner, so no qualms here.
He's super reactive, and he knows what the receiver's going to do. He's really great at recognizing route combos, and I think he could be a really, really, really good safety in a quarter system.
That's something I never even thought about with him.
He played safety, or like quarters or cover two, just a too high safety. He could be really damn good.
And in a system like that, like the line between corner and safety can get a little bit blurred. Like that's not some wild transition.
I kind of like him in like a match system, or even just taking him to play that high safety. I mean, you don't want to take a safety this high, but when it's a guy like Will Johnson who's just so good mentally, yeah. And he's a junior, so like the one concern I may have with him in zone is he's got a great processor. Sometimes he's a little late to do it because I don't think he fully trusts it yet. So, and of course the injury, but it's not something that generally lingers. And people saying he played worse in 2024. No, he didn't. He played worse after the injury, but before that,
I thought he matched his level of performance.
Yeah, he's the same player, big time player, played up to the moments. Great pick. All right, are we on to the Panthers?
Yes, we are. Entire defense need just a DEF.
Man, there's so many players you could pick here. This is insane. I did not do prep for who I thought I would pick. This is tough. You got to go defense, right?
I think you got it. I thought about this, like bolster the offense and really try and make it a strength behind Bryce Young. But you look at the defense and it's like, God damn it, they're going to have to win games 42-40.
Yeah, so I would love to pick Mike Green here. But there are some character concerns that have arisen that if they are true, he will be undraftable. He will have an undraftable grade for me. So at this moment in time, I'm not going to take Mike Green. If you want to take him, I won't fault you for it, because he's a fantastic player, and they are unfounded, right? We don't have any. They're not confirmed yet, so we won't say anything on it, and won't say what they are. But if they are true, you cannot draft him. He's a great player, though. I would absolutely take him if those weren't there. However, they are, so we're going to have to take a different guy, and I can't think of a better prospect on the board on the defensive side of the ball than Shamar Stewart at 8. And I know this is a little high, and I know some people will say I'm reacting to the combine, but I am not. I watched Shamar Stewart like a month ago, and he is a really good player. He's not he's not just an athlete, which he's a great athlete. 40-inch vert, like a 4.6 40, 1.58 10-yard split. It's a nuts athlete. Also like 270, 6'5". Yeah, maybe he's Myles Garrett. Who knows? But he's also a really quality player. Like his bull rush is some serious pocket pushing. He finds the quarterback at an elite level. Just the main concern you have with him is production. I could give two shits about how many sacks you got.
Thank you.
I care a little bit about the pressures. Oh, well, which is good because he got a lot of pressures. He got a lot of pressures last year. And it was on the tape. It was like, yeah, he didn't sack the quarterback, but that's because there were a bunch of that's because every time the quarterback was looking right at him, he was like, I cannot get sacked by Shamar Stewart, so I'm going to walk into Shamar Turner or Nick Scorton. Yeah, and for a guy so big, he's a very quality finesse rusher. He's got a good swipe. He has decent bend for somebody so good. He can get off the line really well. Speed to power's there. You'd like to see him land the hands more, but I think that'll come with time. Absolutely has a pass rush plan. and then is also just a really elite run defender as well. I want to see. Listen, I'd like to see him be able to diagnose the play a little bit better. He's going to get surprised by pull blockers, but the anchor and the shed and the tackling ability, the amount of strength packed into those arms, he will be a plus run. He will be a quality run defender for you on day one. He'll be a quality pass rusher for you on day one. Got a lot of upside. I think he's a better prospect than Trayvon Walker was.
Thank you so much for talking about how sacks, obviously they matter. I do think that there's something to be said about converting pressures into. Now, here's a take I have. Sacks plus hits is a dramatically better stat than just sacks.
Yeah.
Because the difference between, to me, a pressure and a hit is that you have truly imposed a timer on the quarterback. Like, if you're able to hit the guy, he could not have held that ball any longer versus a pressure leaves some opportunity for the quarterback to escape. That being said, are you really scared of a player who beats his blocker and forces the quarterback to step up directly into a sack? The answer is yes, and I think that this is a perfectly fine pick.
Yeah, I think he's the best player on a really, really, really stacked Texas A&M defensive line. And I honestly don't. I mean, sure, I think people will come around and realize, yeah, he is a top 10 player. I'm not sure why he's consensus 20s right now. I couldn't tell you, but that's where he is.
It's the sacks. It's got to be the sacks.
It's the sacks in production, which just doesn't make sense because you're just never going to be able to get a guy like this ever. I mean, I think he was a 9.99 RAS. And a quality guy, a quality technique, also a 21-year-old junior. This is a guy who has a lot of time to develop. Also got a great long arm when you're talking about power. That's something that was great. And he tried finesse. It's insane to me that he's not a consensus top 10 prospect. I have him as that. So, Shamar Stewart to the Panthers at 8. You get your franchise edge rusher after you just traded away your franchise edge rusher.
You love the replacement. Now, I've got the Saints at 9.
Oh, yeah.
This is another one that feels like
they need everything.
Yeah, you just picked the best player available. I thought about Jahdae Barron, who I do think is a really good football player. Inside-outside flexibility. Had a fantastic... Was it his senior year at Texas, I believe? He's not an underclassman.
He's a 23-year-old senior, I believe.
He might have had some eligibility remaining due to COVID, but this isn't the younger player. I was skeptical whether or not he could play on the perimeter. Saw him in the slot, thought he looked a little bit stiff. On the outside, he was just absolutely stellar this year. That being said, I'm going to go Tyler Warren.
Yes. Love it.
How long is Taysom Hill out for? He's not going to be available at the beginning of next year, right?
No way. He might never play again. I mean, an injury this late in your career, that old.
So, I think Saints fans would agree having Taysom Hill on the football team is pretty nice.
Yeah.
You like watching him on Sundays. So what if you get the version of that, but just on steroids with Tyler Warren? This is a player who's a better quarterback, a better blocker, a better everything. There's just not a lot to dislike about Tyler Warren.
Yep.
It felt like people were low on him coming into this year because he had some ugly drops. I didn't think his hands were egregious. He just had some very visible, poorly timed drops that, like they were bad. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was the ball hit straight off his hands. He had extremely sticky hands this year. I don't know how many passes he dropped.
I think it was like 2 or 3.
Like I was gonna say, like a couple. How nuanced of a separator do you think he is? I think he's adequate, but I don't think he has to be when he can just smash whatever's in front of him.
That's the thing. I think he is good enough. That's all you need to say. People are just like, oh, how good of a separator? He's a solid separator. And if he was like a Colston Loveland type of player, I would say, yeah, that is a slight concern. I still have him graded out as a B- route runner because I think he's more agile than people give him credit for. But that's not his game. He can beat you that way. It's just like, yeah, I can also beat you another way, which is I'm just going to get the ball on a drag and then just
kill you
5 different linebackers to get to the end zone. So, and then, yeah, I can also beat you with the route if you get lazy. So, I don't know. Who cares? He's good enough. That's all that matters.
Saints need everything, and I think he's BPA. The Taysom Hill connections, that's just a bonus.
Oh, yeah. Warren, great player. I'll say this. He was, after Graham, I think he'd be next up in terms of blue chipper.
You know, when you say that, I don't mind it because, like, what's the scenario where he doesn't turn into a quality pro? He's going to be an excellent blocker.
Yeah, I think This isn't my comp, but I think he's a legitimate George Kittle ceiling.
I don't disagree at all. Do you think he's as fast as George Kittle?
Yes. Well, maybe not as fast, but close enough to
Comparable.
the point where close enough to the point where I'm like, there's not a significant enough difference for me to say absolutely not.
You can't deny the similarities.
Yeah. All right, we got Chicago at 10. Ben Johnson coming in, trying to install a new system. You want to protect Caleb. That is priority number one. But is there a player you really feel comfortable with here at 10 on the offensive line? There is one guy. Let me pull up I should have prepared a little bit better for this. We're watching all this tape and you just forget to prepare for the actual teams, what they need. I don't want to take a guard this early. I don't.
There's a player I think you can take who changes the offense in a different way.
You're right. There is. Ugh. I don't think I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to do it here. What I am going to do is... Yeah, I'm going to take Mikael Williams out of Georgia. As much as you would love to take Ashton Jeanty here.
Oh, I was talking about Luther Burden.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Luther Burden. As much as you would love to take Ashton Jeanty here, I don't think you need a running back here. And Jeanty is a player who is obviously, I say he's a blue chipper. It's tough to pass on him here. But when you've got a guy like Mikael Williams available and a defense that the focus is on the offense, but the defense needs to be, especially that defensive line, you need size, you need athleticism, and you need power. And Mikael Williams brings all of those three. He's a brilliant athlete. Didn't look at this year because he was injured for most of the year and playing through an injury. But in that Clemson game in the first part of this year and last year, just got off the ball exceptionally well. Ridiculous bend for someone of that size. And talk about maybe a slightly underdeveloped pass rush arsenal. Maybe his hands are slightly underdeveloped. They are, but he's one of those guys where it's like you don't need a super big pass rush arsenal. Let's look at how some of the best guys in the league win. Max Crosby never does anything except for a swipe and a spin. That's all you really need sometimes. And Myles Garrett, most of the time he wins with a long arm. And guess what Mikael Williams can do really well? He can slam that 34.5-inch arm into your chest and destroy the pocket. And he does that every other rep at Georgia. So you bring that level of elite power while you're injured. And then, pretty nice swipe move. Had a solid club. Even tried to counter it sometimes. I don't know if he was agile enough to really be elite at it, but tried finesse, succeeded a fair bit. I think the hands will come along. Another 21-year-old junior and a plus run defender. Again, uses that length to get distance early and just stack and then shed him at the right time. Again, another guy you'd like to see find the ball a little bit better. But that'll come along with more reps. Because, again, Georgia's stacked defensive line didn't get the reps that you'd like to see. So, Mikael Williams, super, super great ceiling and a guy who you can play immediately. So, at 10, this is a good pick for Chicago.
It's tough to say this because loyal BTS listeners, I do want to reveal to you, our connections inside the league aren't the best. It's tough to get the full medical evaluations on these guys and know exactly what was up, what was real, what was smoke and mirrors. But I think that kind of finding out about under-the-radar injuries and how they affected a player's performance is a great way to find value and to sort of be ahead of the curve on these guys. I mean, that being said as well, I think he's an excellent scheme fit in Chicago. They needed pass rush badly last year. I mean, that was a big part of, in my opinion, why this was just a pretty good defense when they were still holding on to, who's the coach who doesn't call timeouts?
Eberflus?
They were still holding on to Eberflus. Oh, my God, I'm so tired. Defense could have been even better, and I think that with Mikael Williams, it will be.
Absolutely. So that was the top 10. I think we'll run through the rest of these a little quicker. We don't want to be here for 3 hours. So San Francisco's up next.
This is actually kind of a strangely hard one.
Yeah.
There are a lot of directions you could go here, and I've got to weigh my options a little bit.
I'm trying to think about where I'd go. It's tough.
They kind of have an underrated amount of needs.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to be bullish on the Niners heading into next year, actually. I think you could go defensive interior. You could
Who would
definitely
you go, though?
I think it's too early for Walter Nolan. I think it's too early for Derek Harmon, even if I do like Derek Harmon.
There's a name you didn't mention.
On the defensive interior that you really, really like.
I don't think... I think it's too early for him, too, but I feel like he deserves to be mentioned in the same...
Kenneth Grant?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Jahdae Barron, potentially, because Mooney Ward... I haven't followed that situation very closely. Seems like quite possibly he's going to be gone next year. Or do you go offensive line?
There's a guy I don't hate here, but...
We're talking about Calvin Banks, right?
Yeah.
You know, he could probably play right tackle for you. You think. You kick him inside if you want to get back to your wide zone roots a little bit. He'll do good work there. I'm going to take Jahdae Barron. It's the conversation we had about Jahdae Barron earlier. They need help in the secondary, and I think he brings the experience to immediately make it better.
Yeah, I mean, a guy who knows what he's looking at better than almost anybody in the class, and he's a really solid straight line athlete. Ran a 4.39 today, I believe, and
that is big for him.
Yeah,
like he can hang on the outside. I think
that was and the closing speed is great. I mean, he's just a guy you drop into a zone, in off coverage, and just say, I mean, just read the route and make the play. You can play, and I think he could be an all-pro safety. I think he could. I think he can play press man on the outside. I think he can play man on the inside. I think he can play press zone. I think he can play bail zone or off coverage or whatever you want him to do. He's a Swiss Army knife. And just a great, smart player who you love to pick.
And he's, like, great on the mic, by the way. Has a great reputation at Texas. And you know what? I really do value that. Not just because you want to draft good guys early, but because I think that speaks to the work that they're going to put in. And I have noticed a pretty good size correlation between guys where you feel their presence and getting the higher percentile outcome for them as prospects.
Absolutely. All right, Dallas at 12. Do I do it? The classic Dallas
go Omari
at
and
12.
Hampton.
Omari and Hampton, yeah. That's the classic Dallas at 12.
I think you pulled the trigger.
Surely.
What are you looking at?
I
got a top 5 grade on him.
Yeah, I know. All right, we'll do it. All right, we'll do it. Shedeur Sanders. No. Ashton Jeanty to the Cowboys at 12. I don't know. It's tough for me to take a running back higher, but it's Jeanty, so it's not that tough. I mean,
does he have a weakness?
That's why I was like, what do you even say about
ball security-ish?
When you're getting 400 carries, you're bound to fumble the ball sometimes.
That being said, I think that his play style sort of invites fumbles when you're backpedaling and wearing a defender like a backpack, and there are guys on both your legs, and then a fourth guy comes in to knock the ball away. Like, come on, that's a price I'm willing to pay for having Ashton Jeanty.
That's perfectly fine. Truly, some of the best contact balance I've ever evaluated.
Ridiculous.
A really great athlete, great vision, just that tempo off the line, and then when he chooses a hole, bam, just shot out of a cannon. Long speed to hit the home run, agility, a great jump cut, and not to mention that he's an absolute bowling ball. He's going to run through you. There's nothing to dislike about Ashton Jeanty, not to mention that he's a pretty nasty pass protector. Wasn't used in the receiving game much at Boise State, but he absolutely can do it from what we saw. And any coach that wants to use a running back in the receiving game will get what they want out of Jeanty. So, again, he's blue chipper. An elite running back prospect. You're not going to get a talent like this at 12 every day of the week.
When I watched his 2023 tape, this is what's so funny to me about Ashton Jeanty is people bring up his receiving profile as like, oh, he's raw as a receiving back or something. Can he play on third down? No, not at all. I thought he was a plus pass catcher.
Yeah, they just had a quarterback who couldn't hit like a swing pass.
I think Dak Prescott can handle that.
Yeah, I think he'll be great. So yeah, I honestly think you need another playmaker in that room if you're Dallas. So you feel great about this pick.
All right, now I've got the Dolphins at 13. Got to take a look at their depth chart just to make sure.
There's a fit I absolutely love here. It's a little early. I don't think you'll do it.
I know who I think the most popular pick would be in this spot.
Who?
Malachi Starks.
Really?
Because Javon Holland is
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
leaving in free agency, and
That-
Jordan Poyer is their other starter. Like,
That'd be a fine pick.
man. I kind of want to go Kelvin Banks here as well. This is a spot where you do try him out at tackle, and you fail him at tackle, and then you kick him inside to guard, and
It's that
I
wide
think
zone.
exactly. I think
Get
it's a
on the
great
move.
fit for their offense. What do you think the really sneaky early fit is? Because I think I'm gonna go Kelvin Banks, but I want to hear you out here.
I was thinking Josh Simmons.
Oh man, oh that is a really good fit.
'Cause he's the prototypical get your guy in space.
Definitely.
And he is a tackle. The
Oh,
only
absolutely.
I think he is top 10 tape. I'm just scared to death of the injury. The injury history and the penalties. Is it?
I think there's potential that Simmons goes this early in the Balls Talk Sports Mock Draft 2.0 when maybe we do have a little bit more
Yeah.
clarity on his injury for now.
That's why I was like,
I'm
it's
going to
early.
stick with Calvin Banks, but in the
Perfectly
future,
good pick.
this fit might come to fruition.
Banks is also a great fit, though.
Exactly, and that's why I felt comfortable with it. Well, even at 13, I think he's a perfectly fine football player to draft at 13, and
Yeah.
the scheme fit is kind of just like added on top.
I mean, yeah, Banks he's a great mover. He's a great processor of what's going on. Truly a great athlete and good as a run blocker in space. You'd like to see him sustain blocks a little bit better, but when you've got that pop at the line, there's not much else you need. Again, maybe his hands and his feet could use a little work in the pass game. That's stuff you think will come
He's
along.
a true junior, isn't he?
Yeah, that's stuff you think will come along. So, question is, do you have the arm length and the technique? Do you have the technique to offset that arm length? And if you don't, then can you play guard?
I think he can.
Yeah.
For the Miami Dolphins, I think he can. They have Aaron Brewer playing center.
Yeah, he's nasty. And Kelvin Banks is one of the best combo blockers I've ever seen.
Valuable.
Him and Brewer would be nuts together. All right. Anything else to say on Banks?
I don't believe so. Colts
right.
at 14?
Colts at 14. Do we go with the obvious connection? Colt in Loveland. Do we go with that?
Just like you said, obvious. Popped into my head immediately as you called it out.
It seems like the common pick. I don't think that's what I'm going to do. That's tough. Oh, because the Colts have Anarumo now. Never mind. The Colts have Anarumo. Wouldn't hate that fit. Loveland, it's a tad early for me. But ultimately, I think I am okay with doing it. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anybody obvious.
That's kind of the hard part about these mocks is like if a guy
Yeah.
starts to slide, oftentimes you don't remember until it's too late. You don't notice.
There's one other guy I'm considering here. What would you say Anarumo really likes to do in his scheme? What would you say that he really loves? Because I can never seem to figure it out. I don't know if
Last year it was be bad at defense is
Yeah.
the thing. He'll do interesting stuff with safeties and with linebacker. I think you can be multiple with Lou Anarumo is the thing.
I think you can. I'm going to hold off, and we're just going to take Colston Loveland here.
Okay.
Damn good tight end. Can run a route. He's probably going to run a 4.5. Like, just flat. If he
You'd
runs.
think
I don't
so.
know if he will. Listen, it's not his fault that Michigan's offense was dysfunctional last year. Production, again, it's not reliable. All right? It's not reliable. He had nobody's future car salesman throwing him the ball. It's hard.
He had more yards than all their wide receivers combined.
Exactly. And he's a great catcher of the football, just really doesn't drop it. As a pass catcher, there's no complaints at all. Also an elite after the catch guy, can go up and pick it out of the air, not going to drop the ball, can catch it in traffic. Your one concern is he's not that great of a blocker. I don't think he's a liability.
You can put him in line.
Yeah, I don't think he's a liability at blocking. I think he can be your Brock Bowers role. I'm not saying he is Brock Bowers, but I think he can do that, and I think he's a better blocker than Bowers is. So he's just a really safe pick, a guy who you like. He's a tight end you like for receiver reasons. But tight ends are receivers too. So, like, let's not get it twisted. Loveland at 14 is a good pick, and I like what I think Steichen will be able to use him in some fantastic ways. We obviously saw what he did with Goddard in Philadelphia. So, Loveland to the Colts at 14. It would be fun.
Were you thinking like E-Man Worry, get your Jesse Bates type of player?
No,
Chad
'cause
Gamble?
I don't know if I'll be able to take him soon. Because I don't think you will. If I can't. I was thinking Ben Morrison. And I know that he is. I thought that
We just don't know.
What do we. The hip injury, I get it. He has. I was considering having him as a top 5 talent.
His
on
tape is
tape.
really good. I
Like-
thought I was insane for thinking he was
No.
comparable to Will Johnson. Because
I think, honestly, without the injury, I think he's a better corner than Will Johnson is.
oh my God, thank you. That's
That-
a take I haven't heard anywhere else that I agree
I
with.
don't understand it. He is a superior athlete at the position. We'll get to him whenever we pick him, hopefully in a couple picks, but superior athlete, best, insane press man corner, also just an elite zone corner. Just elite at everything except for run defense. And yeah, he injured his hip last year. Hip injuries, it's not like they're notorious for derailing careers. Yeah, sure, that's
They're not very
fun.
common either, is the thing. So we
Yeah.
don't really have the sample size. And
They were
as a
considering bringing him
cornerback-
back. They were considering bringing him back.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
They were considering bringing him back for the championship game.
Okay, that's good to know.
So I'm not too worried about the injury, and it's a guy that I'm absolutely willing to take a shot on. Though I could eat my words. I mean, we remember Caleb Farley from a few years ago. That
It's
was a
not
lot
Caleb
more
Farley.
intense.
He
though.
had a track record
Yeah.
of injuries as
Like
well.
this is the first one. But yeah, Loveland at 14. I love the pick I love the Colts pick of Loveland. That didn't make any fucking sense.
I would have liked Tyler Warren more at this spot, but unfortunately I
Yeah.
went ahead and picked him earlier.
You can't pick Tyler Warren here because he's off the board, and I don't think he'll make it. People are saying, "Oh, Tyler Warren's not going to make it past the Colts at 14." He's not going to make it to the Colts at 14.
You think he's like almost locked in top 10?
I don't know. He should be, and I'm guessing the NFL sees him that way too, from what
Sure.
I've heard. People are saying he won't fall out of the top 10.
Yeah,
which
he's
makes sense.
definitely climbed boards.
Tape backs it up.
All right, I've got the Falcons at 15, and we're getting to that point in the mock where I feel like I got to gather up the players we haven't picked yet to make sure I'm not missing anybody.
Yeah, I don't think we're missing anybody. I mean, obviously
Malachi Starks, Luther Burden.
we have different boards. Those guys probably. I don't think we're missing them. Yeah, I don't think we've really missed anybody. There's a couple of guys that I think should be taken in the next couple of picks, but that's the thing here is like everybody from now on has a similar grade until like 32 for me. Like there's really not much of a difference.
There's some positions that are sparse,
Yes,
but the guys that
absolutely.
are available, this is just.
This is a great class if you need defensive line.
Oh, it's a fantastic class if you need defensive line.
If
but
you're at 22 and you need a defensive line,
if you need corner, I think you can get starters definitely into like the late second round.
great class if you need a corner. Receiver, it's all right.
Receiver, it's not great.
Yeah,
It's not abysmal.
all right. Falcons at 15. What do you got?
You want defensive line if you're the Falcons
For
because
sure.
their pass rush was absolutely atrocious last year. I don't want to go back to the stand-up edge rusher with like a James Pierce Jr. Man, I should go James Pierce Jr. here because it feels like James Pierce Jr. He got number 1 overall pick hype, and I was never a huge fan of that. I didn't see a ton of development during his junior season, but I do still think that this is a player that projects as a quality starter. Or I could go with someone like a Walter Nolan or a Derek Harmon or a Kenneth Grant for the Falcons.
It'd be very fun.
Is there somebody I'm missing? Like, I don't think you need to go Malachi Starks here. You don't need to force feed that. I think it's got to be defense, man. There's nobody on the offensive interior that I feel comfortable with picking here. Unless you would go like an Armand Membu and kick him into guard. Is there somebody I'm missing?
I don't know. I don't know how you feel about him, but the Georgia roots, Jalen Walker. I don't know how you feel about him, but
I haven't watched him on all 22 yet.
okay, that makes sense. But I think he is my highest rated edge rusher left.
God damn it, so he's not going to make it to the Packers.
Maybe not.
Oh, for the sake of
He's an athletic Georgia defender. If he makes it to the Packers, Gutekunst will finally you won't have to see Smail Munden's name called in the first round.
that's what I'm hoping
We're
for.
praying for it. Maybe I won't take him.
For the sake of this being a 1.0 and something that we build off of going forward, I'll keep it a little bit more consensus because, I believe you that Jalen Walker's really good, but until I've watched him a little bit more, I'll go James Pierce Jr.
All right. I mean, that's a perfectly fine pick. Pierce is a great player. The pressure rate doesn't. It lies a lot. And I think it lies a little bit on him.
In what way?
He's not the most polished guy. He has a little bit of the Carter, I'm just going to throw myself at you, win with superior athleticism.
I was going to say, so you think it's higher and not lower. That makes sense.
Yeah.
There are guys who inflate their pressure rate just because they turn the corner so consistently.
And he does do that really consistently. And a big worry I have with him is it's great if you can get a pressure, but if you can't finish the play, then it doesn't fucking matter. And he cannot finish the play right now. He cannot sack the quarterback.
I agree with your assessment that he can't bring the quarterback down, but man, I know you're aware how much a quarterback's passer rating drops when they're pressured. You really want a player who finishes the play.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a
is
skill.
valuable.
But if you're an excellent pressure creator, that's just it.
Yeah.
It's a notch down, but you can still be a very valuable player doing that. Man, I don't like picking him to the Falcons because it feels like they've taken so many swings and misses at athletic edge rush projects like this, but for now, that's where I'll go.
But he is a relatively polished guy for an athletic edge prospect.
That's fair enough.
For the classic athletic edge prospect, I think he's more polished than that. He's got some finesse stuff to him, and the speed to power really did impress me. Absolutely did. I just think he's not good in run defense. That's another reason that he's a little bit lower for me.
The speed to power is the reason you're okay taking him in the top half of the first round because if you're athletic and you only win with the ghost move, tackles can kind of lock onto that. The moment you introduce a second way to win, be it power or be it a superior group of finesse moves, instantly that's a disproportionately high increase in pressure. And then, God forbid, you put it together, and now you've got all three ways to win. That's where you get into like Von Miller territory.
Yeah, and he's got a slight frame, but he's real tall, so he can see over the line, and he's got those long arms. That really helps with the bull rush. So I'm perfectly. I'd be comfortable taking him in the top 20, even if he does not have a top 20 grade on my board right now.
Okay.
He's not in the top 20 in my big board.
I'm excited to have our positional conversations later on.
That'll be great. We were gonna have some last week, but again, they locked us out. So unbelievable. Anyway, Cardinals at 16. This is a really weird team because they're one of those teams that are just kind of stuck in limbo right now. We have a quarterback that we don't know if we can win football games with. We took a generational wide receiver last year who looks good but not great. And we just have a bunch of guys on the roster that aren't elite. But I don't know if we want to replace them. This feels like defensive line.
I think the same thing.
But you could talk me into corner. I could be talked into Ben Morrison here. I don't know if I'd want him in Gannon's system. He'd do great. I just prefer him in a press man. Which Gannon does run some of that, but it's not like I love him to the Bengals at 17 just for your I'm just going to remind you, Al Golden is now the DC of Notre Dame.
Good to know.
The former Notre Dame DC is the Bengals DC. Just going to remind you that.
That was like kind of a wild pull on their part. I was surprised to hear that, actually.
I was
that
surprised
surprised
too.
me.
Cardinals, I should just make a pick, shouldn't I? Should our Sanders no. He still hasn't come off the board. Actually,
I'm okay with that, to be perfectly honest with you.
You know what? I know we said we weren't going to do it, but I'd like to offer you a trade.
What is it?
I will trade the number 16 pick to the Steelers for the number 21 pick, and Steelers' second-round pick and their third next year.
Is this with the intent that I draft Shedeur Sanders?
Yes.
Or that you draft Shedeur Sanders?
And then you get the Cardinals pick at 21.
All right. We'll go ahead and let that happen.
Okay.
Because I was not going to be the one to pick Shedeur Sanders this episode.
I cannot figure out where he's going to go if it's not Pittsburgh, and I cannot figure out what to do with this pick. So we're getting a trade in the no trades mock draft. Force this trade. Sorry, PFF. Okay.
Oh, thank God you're doing the picks, because I couldn't remember who we picked for the Bears, and I've been screwed since then.
I can read them back to you.
Let's hear it.
All right.
We're at pick 16.
Yeah, we're at pick 16. Let me draft Shedeur Sanders.
Halfway,
real quick.
only an hour 15.
We'll draft Shedeur Sanders. We'll run through the top 16, then we'll talk about Sanders for a bit because it is a conversation worth having. All right, number 1, Titans picked Travis Hunter. Number 2, the Browns picked Mason Graham. Pick number 3, the Giants picked Cam Ward. With pick number 4, the Patriots picked Will Campbell. With pick number 5, the Jaguars picked Tetairoa McMillan. With pick number 6, the Raiders picked Abdul Carter. Pick 7, Jets picked Will Johnson. Pick 8, Panthers went with Shamar Stewart. Pick 9, Saints went with Tyler Warren. Pick 10, Bears went with Mikael Williams. Pick 11, the Niners went with J.D. Barron. 12, the Cowboys went with Jeanty. 13 was Banks to the Dolphins. 14 was Loveland to the Colts. 15 was Pierce to the Falcons. And 16 was Sanders to the Steelers. You need a quarterback bad. There's nobody there. Wilson's not going to come back. You need to just take a swing. And this is the swing that is not really a swing, which is going to appeal to the Steelers front office so much.
The scheme fit, or the front office fit, rather, is perfect. And from a what I would do perspective, I hate that it's perfect because I feel like we know what Shedeur Sanders is going to be in Pittsburgh, and he's going to be one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, probably one of the top 25. He's just going to toe the line, is my opinion.
Yeah, I think that he will be an average starter in the league. I have a hard time seeing him being a top 12, top 10 guy.
What is his winning trait if he's a top 10 guy?
It would, because it's just like if you
accuracy.
I don't think he's hyper accurate.
Placement?
I don't think he's hyper accurate.
He's not scattershot, but he's not like Drew Brees level precision. He knows
that's
how
the
to
thing.
throw.
He has a Drew Brees kind of arm where it's like he can throw it far. Drew Brees could throw it far in his prime, but he doesn't have that zip on it. But Drew Brees was a Hall of Fame quarterback, and that's a comp that he's drawn. Drew Brees was one of the best processors we've ever seen and almost never threw an inaccurate pass. Sanders is really good accuracy. It's not elite, and he definitely does not have an elite processor. It's good. Maybe it's good. It's a good processor, but great deep. I'd say it's great deep. He can read deep combos and see that stuff at a great level. But when it comes to the short and the intermediate, there's just a lot of misses. So you pair that with a guy who really doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing in the pocket, arm that is not strong at all, loves to hold on to the football to add to pocket worries, and the fact that you got Deion Sanders coming to town too. And I think the character issues aren't that bad, but there's a lot of former teammates that don't like him. I wonder how many people went to his birthday party. I don't think, because he does want to win, and that's number one on character. Well, ideally, you don't sexually assault somebody. Ideally.
No sexual assaults is number one.
Yeah, that'll give you an undrafted grade. But Sanders, it's up there. You've got to want to win, and I have absolute faith that he's going to come in there every day and work his ass off to want to win. But there's too many question marks and not enough high-level traits for me to feel like, yeah, I feel comfortable taking this guy. But he's a quarterback, which the Steelers desperately need, and he's not bad. He's not a bad football player. Again, he will be a top 25 quarterback in the league. He'll probably be a top 20. It's going to be hard for him to be a top 10. Most likely, in 2 years, he'll be the 16th best quarterback in the league, and he won't move off of that mark for like 8 or 9 years, which is a perfectly fine career. And honestly, with the 16th overall pick, you can get a lot worse. That's why I'm fine if the Steelers trading up to get him here.
We feel the exact same way about Shedeur Sanders. Two players I had my eyes on when I figured that they would be picking at 21 in the no trades mock draft were Luther Burden and...
I just couldn't figure it out.
No, I think that's totally fine. I love the spontaneity of it as well. I had Luther Burden and Tyler Booker circled.
Oh, yeah.
Add some more violence on the interior, or get another wide receiver because I think they need one bad.
You can never have too many guys on the interior, and man, they need guys after the catch. Pickens is good, but not after the catch. Like, you need a guy who can run with it, and Luther Burden's damn good at that. So next up, Bengals at 17, right?
Yes. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bengals at 17. So Steelers just got their Joe Burrow. If you heard those comps.
I have, unfortunately. To Breeze and Burrow, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not there as a processor.
Let's say,
is my opinion.
one of the best processors in the league. Also, one of the best in some areas of pocket management, Joe Burrow is one of the best. He does hold on to the ball for too long. I can see it.
It's not the same level.
It's not the same kind of thing at all. I also think he's a better athlete than Shadur Sanders is.
Oh, I completely agree.
Like,
I think Shitter's like a 40th percentile athlete in the modern
if
NFL.
you're going to hold on to the ball, at least be able to run. He can't really run, so. Anyway, I don't want to seem like we're hating on Sanders or anything.
We do hate Shadur Sanders as a person.
Oh, boy. But I think it's time to pump the brakes, and in no world would I take him in the top 10. But there's a reason I'm not an NFL GM yet.
Both. We've talked about this before. We're going to manage the same team.
Absolutely.
It's going to be hell. All right, number 17, the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm still in my collecting my board phase. I'm looking at Walter Nolan here because I do think that they need to add some. You could really go anywhere on the defensive line because Sam Hubbard is not getting the job done for you as an edge rusher. But on the interior, it feels like they have nobody. Here's the thing. I maybe view Walter Nolan as a little bit more of a floor-oriented prospect.
Really?
I really like his pass rush moveset, which a lot of people criticize. I think he gets to his counters lightning quick, but I just don't see the trait to be a dominant pass rusher from the interior. I think he comes out of his stance high. I think he's got a very nice first step. I think he's got fantastic lateral agility. He will make a good stunt man, but I didn't really see him bull rush guys either. As a run defending 3 technique, I think he's going to hold his own against down blocks. I don't think he's going to handle doubles in the pros, but this is a third-year junior who you hope can get bigger and stronger. And he was just a guy who, to me, was always flowing toward the football. He knows how to peak blocks. I think he's a very good block shedder. And there are supposedly character concerns with him. I don't think it's like a switch flipped at Ole Miss. And this guy's motor and run defense, like he was insatiable. Just his ability to not just find the ball carrier, be throwing moves at the ball carrier the entire time and be constantly throwing himself on piles and racking up assisted tackles. But like when the ball was on the ground, I saw this guy get like 3 fumble recoveries. Which is bizarre. I just think he's a really safe interior defensive line prospect who's going to be a great pro.
Very few guys want it more. So I'm curious as to why he doesn't have that elite ceiling for you. Was it the athleticism? Or is it like the size? Because I think he's a great athlete. The size is slightly concerning.
It's kind of hard to explain. It's like when you watch a really good pass rushing defensive tackle in college, it feels like you know it.
Yeah, I get that.
Like I said, I think he's got a great first step, and I think he's very quick. Like I think he's quick in the hands. I don't think he wins the length battle very often to kind of wrench guys off their spots and work through them. I didn't see knockback power. I think that the bull rush is a work in progress. To be perfectly honest with you, I think I only saw him go to a bull rush once or twice. Maybe more than that, but I saw it get stalled out by, for example, LSU's offensive line. I think he spends too much working side to side. I don't know. I could be wrong. I think he has like a tier 2 pass rush ceiling.
Yeah, I think he's a work in progress as a pass rusher, which is why I have him a little bit lower. I think he's got a good ceiling, though. And the bull rush, obviously you watch different games, you see sometimes. I saw a couple of fantastic reps from the bull rush. He does come off high. You're right, and that is a big concern I have with him. You need to be able to use that natural leverage you have. When he did, I mean, it was disruptive. It was insane. He was getting a nuts knockback. He's really got that pop when he commits to it. That was my biggest issue with Nolan is he just didn't commit to the bull rush often. It's like, do it more. And then also the hand usage, it's raw. I don't know if raw is the right way. It's a developmental thing, using his hands. I think he's shown flashes of great timing on the swipe, and I really like a club move I saw from him. It's got a really nasty spin, but we need to work on timing the hands because it's too often that he kind of just throws himself at the lineman, gets his hands up too late, and he just does not have the length to recover from that. But he's going to get a lot of coverage sacks at the next level. He's just going to keep working. There's nobody I saw throw himself at a double team and just muscle his way through both 300-pound men and then just get to the quarterback. Nobody did that more than Nolan. So fired out of cannon off the line. Stunt. He could be a Braden Fisk kind of stunt guy. You know what I mean? He's a great athlete. shown a lot of potential as a pass rusher, and he got a lot of production. I have some worries about the run game if you're strong enough, if you're big enough to really hang on to that. Hang on in there and be a consistent force. I think he can be a 3-down, 3-tech at the next level. It's just unlikely he reaches his ceiling, even if I do think his ceiling is high. I just think it's unlikely he reaches it that high. And because I have some concerns with him technique-wise and polish-wise, I do have him a little bit lower on my board, somewhere in the late 20s, early 30s. So I'm perfectly fine with this pick here, especially because it's Cincinnati, and you need
Badly.
Yeah, you need D-line help, and I don't know who else you want here in the interior. So, good player. I am kind of with you, and I don't know if he's in that. All the top 15, top 10 talk he's been getting recently, I think it may be a little bit unfounded.
All right, and now you've got the Seahawks at 18. I don't want to say a lot of places you could go with this, but there are some interesting players that they could definitely use here.
Absolutely. This was actually a Shadur Sanders landing spot for me.
Sit him?
Yes.
Interesting.
He could seriously benefit from that.
I don't disagree.
Because I don't think Geno's going to last forever here. Yeah. This is Jalen Walker.
It could only last so long.
Yeah, this is Jalen Walker. Mike McDonald's going to love him, man. Mike McDonald is going to love this guy. A guy who is almost as good of a linebacker as he is an edge. Really, I do like him as an edge because he's not a great linebacker. He is 6'2", 241, which is small for an edge. But, I mean, when you've got, I think he's a really polished player for how athletic he is, and I just did not expect him to be that polished. His hands are relatively consistent. Being able to swipe and land the hands in the bull rush. He uses leverage well, drives people back, gets off the line so quick, man. Probably quicker than anybody except Abdul Carter, I'd say. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that. The concern you'll have with him as an edge is probably his bend is probably just average. So maybe he does, and he's not that long. But when you got a guy who's really polished, a really smart run defender, you can tell he's a linebacker. He knows what he's looking at. A guy who's a great tackler, is a QB hunter, and then also is the best player I've ever seen at playing the QB spy. This guy walks him down. No pun intended. He walks him down. He stared right at the QB, reading his eyes. Second the QB makes a move, he is shot out of a cannon, and he gets him. Production, and also a high character guy. People raved about him at Georgia, saying this guy's a true leader, is a true junior. Can only go up from here. Positional versatility, super athlete. I just love him. You can play him wherever you want. Locker room guy. He's not a can't miss prospect, but it's just a guy you want to draft.
I think that's a great fit. When you are drafting for the Seahawks defense, you are looking for chess piece sort of players. In case he didn't make it that far, I also had Jahad Campbell circled.
Ooh,
no complaints about this pick.
Yeah. All right, 19 Buccaneers on the clock.
This could be a Jahad Campbell spot.
It could. He could benefit from learning under Levante David for a year.
Absolutely. There's a lot we don't know about Mike Green, Victor.
There is. But there's a lot we don't know about him in a good way and a bad way.
Exactly.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We do not know. I would not fault you. I might make the same pick later.
They need pass rush bad.
Yeah.
It's not like it's an urgent need.
I mean, they want to compete.
They want to compete, and they need more than they're getting right now off the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go with Mike Green. I do think that absolutely, if his background checks out relatively clean, he goes far higher than this.
Oh, yes. He's a fantastic player.
Excellent speed to power converter. A guy who does play the run. Some of the best strength in this class. I differentiate strength and power, and strength, power, and anchor are kind of the three ways that I would put it. If a guy, I thought Brock Bowers last year was extremely strong for a player who probably played at 235.
Oh, yeah.
He can just go way above his weight class. I see that same thing out of Mike Green. Obviously, he had a fantastic Senior Bowl. Yeah, that's got to be my pick.
That is 6 edge rushers in the top 19.
Only 6?
Yeah, only 6. I don't know if we see another one go. Maybe. But yeah, I like he's super polished as a finesse rusher, has a whole arsenal in his bag. Elite bend, elite speed, elite get off. Don't say any of that lightly, but he's got it all. Nasty mentality. Wants to go after converted speed to power very well. And he killed Ohio State. He killed him and wants to do it in the run defense and is one of the best diagnosers I've seen in this class and just finding the ball and hitting them. So, great player. If the stuff checks out, I think he should go top 10.
It's kind of the complete package if it does.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying, but it's really worrying. And
absolutely,
if you even have a doubt about that, you can't. I mean, it's like that should be every team's line, I feel like. So yeah, it's a really tough evaluation to make at this point in time.
Have they connected it to him being dismissed from UVA
Not
officially?
yet. They said that that's not connected, actually.
They said it's not.
Well, I don't know if they said that, but
so he got dismissed for another reason.
Just yeah. So that's another word. It was like if he got dismissed from UVA. UVA is an easy place to get dismissed from, but still, they do it for good reasons. It's just they don't have they have no tolerance policy. So a lot of guys probably would have if they played for UVA, they would have been dismissed for some of the stuff they did.
We're gonna learn a lot more about this probably for the BTS 2.0.
The 2.0 will be a lot more important for this player. Now on to my team, the Denver Broncos at 20. Fascinating pick here because when I like to dabble with mocks a little bit just to see what I like, and whenever I get here, generally GT is here, and I generally take him or Loveland.
Genty is generally at number 20 for you. Jesus
yes,
Christ!
But it's just it's hard for me to take a running back this early. But he's a great player. Genty or Loveland is here. Neither of them are, so we have to pivot. I think everybody's going to expect Luther Burden in this position. My question for you is, what does Luther Burden bring for the Broncos offense that Marvin Mims doesn't already?
I think he's a step up as a rack player, and maybe
he's a step up.
Maybe he's better working the middle of the field.
Maybe. I have serious concerns. Like, Burden is a fantastic contested catch guy. There's basically no physicality at the catch point. Catching in traffic, he's just going to drop the ball a lot.
That's the problem. You don't feel great about him working contested catches over the middle of the field, which as a run after catch player is where you want him to make his contested catches.
But it's weird because you can also throw him on a slot fade and he's going to win the 50-50 ball.
Somehow, yes.
And he's an elite after the catch guy, a really good route runner, great athlete. I'm not going to take him here.
Hear me out
Okay.
on Luther Burden's usage. You run screen passes with him,
but
you run them like 25 yards downfield.
They do love the screen passes.
Is that an option?
Yes, the deep curl, as they call it. I want to get this pick right. Considering, ooh, no, it's too early. Is it? It's not too early.
It's never too early.
It's never too early, if we're being honest. I think that I am going to go with Jihad Campbell.
That's not too early. I don't think that's too early at all.
I think it's a little too early. But man, they need linebacker, and it's also not too early because Jihad Campbell is a great player. They just need talent. The Broncos have a lot of good players. Jihad Campbell can be a great player. He can be a true difference maker for you. They need talent. They need athleticism, and Jihad Campbell brings both. Another high-character guy in that Alabama locker room talked about as a leader. They need that too. He is also a great pass rusher. Vance Joseph is going to love him. So I don't think you need to say much about him. He's linebacker one for most people for a reason. Yes, you'd like his instincts to come along. They will. You can trust that. With guys like this, it's just like you're going to take the pick with the expectation that not only are you going to be able to get him there, with an elite defensive coaching staff that has shown the ability to progress guys very well. But you have even if he doesn't, he's still going to be a good player. So Jihad Campbell at 20 gives you a serious chess piece, gives you people will say they need a weapon, and they do, but free agency in round 2 exist. At this point, you just get a great player, get one of the best players available at a position of need. I'm not going to pass that up. Jihad Campbell, the Broncos at 20.
Chris Paul out of Ole Miss had a pretty rough combine.
He did.
It feels like linebacker is kind of the Jihad Campbell sweepstakes at this point. I know that he's not some perfect, complete linebacker prospect, but like you said, in the Broncos' defensive system, they're going to find ways to take advantage of his skill set, and I really like that pick. That if not Luther Burden, and you know what, you kind of talked me into Jihad Campbell here because I do think Luther Burden is kind of redundant, especially with how some of the Broncos pass catchers played down the stretch last year, where they did give you a little bit more than you were expecting.
You do need a receiver. If it's not...
You can find a guy in free agency, can't you? You don't need like a alpha number 1, and Luther Burden isn't that anyway.
If it's not Tet, I don't think there's a point at picking any of these receivers in the first round unless you trade back and take Igbuka. Because I don't think you should take Igbuka at 20.
I think that's a little early for Igbuka as well.
Especially because there's a guy like Jihad Campbell on the board. I mean, this is just... He's a guy who can... Listen, I'll say this once. I'm not saying this is a comp. I'm not saying he will be him. But the first thing that Daniel Jeremiah tweeted after Jihad Campbell finished his testing was his numbers side by side with Fred Warner. I'm not saying that's who he'll be. I'm just saying
that's the pro comp right
he's
there.
got elite potential. He brings a nice floor. He's a super athlete, great leader. He's a guy you want to take. And that's really what I'm obsessed with finding in the draft. It's I want guys that I want to take. I don't want to ever pick a guy that's just like, yeah, okay, we'll just take him. You know? Jihad Campbell's a guy you want to take, even if it's higher than some people might like.
I think he's certainly trending in this direction. Honestly, I'm not going to say I would be surprised if he was available for the Broncos, but I would not be remotely surprised if this is the range where teams start to express interest.
Unfortunately, he's going to make it to 32 with the Eagles. That's
God
just what's
damn it,
gonna
every
happen.
time.
Yeah. So you have Arizona here because we made the trade.
I was going to say, I just switched up my board. You think it's got to be defensive line because, like we mentioned, it was absolutely abysmal last year.
I think you could talk me into basically anything.
That's true.
Like they need secondary too. There's nobody that's the number one. There's no number 1 corner there. I love Garrett Williams, but he's a slot through and through.
Is Morrison on the board?
Yeah.
He is, isn't he?
He's still on the board. And at this point,
yeah, I'm not gonna go Derek Harmon. We're gonna go Benjamin Morrison. You can't let a player this good slip past you, I don't think. And you know the way you put it, like this is a hip injury that he was potentially returning from. His film is fantastic. I feel like I was mentally treating it like this is some major red flag, when in reality it's more of a yellow-orange flag.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Benjamin Morrison with a yellow-orange flag falls to like pick 20, not out of the first round.
Yeah, this is a fantastic value for him. PFF Big Board has him as number 62
That's
prospect.
Bizarre.
That's insane. Above Darian Porter and Azare Thomas and...
Above them or with them above?
Below Revel, Porter, and Thomas.
Okay.
That's insane.
Revel and Darian Porter are absolutely insane athletes with pretty good tape.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on Revel.
You don't think he's an insane
I
athlete?
love Revel as a guy. Whenever he came to Tulsa and we saw some of his interviews, just an awesome dude.
Oh, yeah. I've
Awesome
seen the same
dude,
thing.
Awesome leader. I just can't get there with him as a player. I really wanted to. If y'all remember, I was talking him up because I was like, yeah, this is just a good dude you want to draft, but isn't it not that sticky in man? He's still developing in zone. He's still developing his eyes in zone. He's a work in progress. Can he get there? Yes, because he's a long, fast, really great athlete who is a great leader. So yes, he can get there. But he's kind of like Will Johnson if he couldn't read out of defense, you know?
I think he's a better athlete than Will Johnson.
Better straight line athlete.
Better straight line athlete. And
even then, I think his trigger is worse than Johnson.
Yes.
He's better straight line speed. He's got better long speed, I'll say.
I thought so. Okay, I was really proud of myself for having Savo and Revel on my big board kind of before it was cool in the summer, and then he gets injured, and
that's also
nobody
he
cares.
tore his ACL.
Yes.
So is the athleticism even guaranteed anymore?
And then all of a sudden, it's like people were regarding him as a top 3 cornerback in his class. Like for a while there, he was being mocked firmly inside the first round. And then I was like, okay, how did we get here? His tape is not that good. And he's really athletic, but he's not like Zion McCollum. I don't think. He could be Zion McCollum as a player. I don't think he's Zion McCollum, the athlete.
No.
So I don't disagree with you.
McCollum's so much more fluid.
I don't agree with you on Revel. Also, this isn't like a third-year junior. He's, in his 5th year?
Yeah.
He's a true senior, for sure. So I agree there. Who's the other guy who's above him? Was it Zarier?
Zarier and Darian Porter. And Trey Amos. And then the obvious 3, Barron, Johnson, and...
They hate him.
Yeah, they do.
They kind of hate him.
Sick of him. Why do you hate him so much?
I don't understand having a Zarier Johnson, right?
I thought it was Thomas.
Why? Yeah, it is Zarier Thomas. Oh my God, the fatigue is kicking in. A guy with some very good ball skills, who I think is really comfortable in trail technique, which is an important trait for a cornerback. But that being said, there's a reason he declared he's still a work in progress as well, and I think Benjamin Morrison's tape is vastly superior. Honestly, getting that kind of playmaker who is scheme independent, who does have the athleticism to be a true number 1 cornerback for you. Pick 21, very happy with that.
I think if Travis Hunter didn't exist, he's the stickiest corner in the draft.
The stickiest, I'd have to agree.
All right, Chargers at number 22. Huh. This is another one where they're kind of like the Broncos. There's a lot of good players, not a lot of great players at this point in time.
There's a player on the board that I really think might be a future Charger.
Marion Hampton?
He's second on my short list for them.
Who? Give me the name. I'll see if we're thinking of the same guy.
Tyler Booker.
Yeah. I'm not in love with Tyler Booker.
Neither am I.
Like, I have him round 1 through 2. Good player. He's a little high.
Elijah Arroyo.
Yeah. I am forgetting who they have right now. I'm sorry. There's a lot of dead air on my end today. Let's see. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Okay, this interior room is a lot worse than I thought. This makes it easier. Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. Harmon's a great player. He's probably a better win now player. I think Kenneth Grant is the best run defender in the class.
You're not concerned about overlap with Poona Ford?
No.
Or is Poona a free agent?
Poona, I don't know. I think he is a free agent. I think they'll get him back. I think you can just play Poona at 3-tech, man. I think he can. There's nothing wrong with that. He'll be great at it. Everything he does will transfer there. He's not in his natural position at nose. The fact that he's doing it is nuts.
And he wasn't like a pure nose tackle for him last year either.
So you can play him at 3-tech, and you have the one of the best run defense duos in the league. That's what they love to do. They love to defend the run. Kenneth Grant is a work in progress. The definition of a work in progress as a pass rusher. He plays really, really, really high for someone like that, and he doesn't use the bull rush like ever for some reason. He dances way too much, but there's enough. He showed enough that I'm like, I can see it. I can absolutely see him becoming a quality pass rusher while being an elite run defender and being a perennial Pro Bowler. He could even become a really good pass rusher. But he could also just suck as a pass rusher and never improve his processor enough to the point in the league where he's just kind of he's a space eater, backup defensive lineman. That's absolutely the possibility. And then he's also got some weight problems. Control is varied, but overall, the player, the athlete, I mean, this guy comes off the ball. He's insane lateral agility for someone who's like, 340 pounds?
Absolutely,
and also, he just eats double teams for breakfast. He cannot be moved off of the line. He discards guys with freakish arm strength, great stack and shed technique. I mean, he gets his hands up there in them, and he's got really long arms, too, to really get in their frame and move guys, leg drive, core strength, the stick. Just a great run defender, and that's what they need here. So you hope the pass rushing will come along. I'd like to believe it will. I can't guarantee it, but at the very worst, you get a great run defender.
Great fit for the Chargers, I agree. Now it's time for the pack.
The pack.
At 23. And you know what? Somehow I have, no idea what to do here. Who are the best edge rushers available? They're all gone, right? There's nobody we can pick here.
So, in my big board, Aziraku? I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Aziraku?
We can't take Aziraku here. I don't think.
Take Landon Jackson. Capitalize off the combine hype.
As much as I love Landon Jackson, I'm not overly enthusiastic about that either.
Any corners you love here? Because Jair's probably not coming back.
You know, that's true. I was looking at Emeka Egbuka, but then that feels like you're adding another wide receiver too into the mix. I think he's a cut above what we have because it feels like Romeo Doubs has the drop issues. Like it's an unpolished skill set. Dontavian Wicks is a walking drop issue. That's obviously an unpolished skill set. Christian Watson is never going to play football again. That's not something you can count on. Emeka Egbuka, I think, has a safe floor and is going to be a really productive player for them. Jared Wilson is, I think, who they will pick.
Yes, that was I had the absolutely insane idea of Jared Wilson at 23.
Oh, it's not insane at all.
I think it is, but
I think there's absolutely okay.
there's merit.
He's not going to be interior 1 in this class. He's probably not even going to be interior 2.
Maybe.
Gray's able.
Yes,
I'm considering to be an interior
Yes, so am
guy.
I.
But man,
Fun.
I don't really want to see Josh Myers on the football field anymore. I would much rather it be Creed Humphrey, but that ship has sailed.
Do you think Booker can play center?
Would
you
who?
want him at center, Booker?
I think he can.
It's a lower value position.
And he's going to be a good mauler as LaFleur obviously likes to pull the guard and center, which Booker can definitely do. He can kill people on the move.
Yeah. Jeez.
I don't want to go.
Simmons and Membo are both here.
Holy crap. I didn't even know Membo was just sitting around here.
Membo, yeah. Also got Derek Harmon.
I thought about that.
I'm not surprised he's still here, but
How?
he's just a really good player.
Why are the top 60 players in this class all the same, Victor?
They're all. That's what makes this so
Why
tough.
is this so hard?
Oh man.
So,
Man, Jihad Campbell would have been a great pick here.
that's just it.
I
Yep.
stole that from you.
Yep.
I considered going Morrison for them at 20. You don't need corner, but why not, right?
Trey Amos is on the board.
Malachi Starks is still here. You know how they love their safeties. Safeties who are not necessarily great at football, but they're really good at football.
I feel like we've got enough of them.
Yeah.
Evan Stewart.
Can you, though?
That's a good point.
Barron's gone. Love him here.
You know what? This isn't what I would do because I don't think
Smell
that-
London.
Smell London. I got to go Jared Wilson because it's too perfect.
Yeah, it
Not
does. Makes
my
sense.
favorite pick, but they need a center badly. An athlete from Georgia who I think his hands are quick, but I think he has work to do. The zone stuff they run going to be fantastic. Incredibly athletic to use as a puller and just a weapon in the run game. That's going to be my selection.
Yeah. Good athlete. Size concerns. We've seen this story before. Can Green Bay develop him enough?
Been
You'd
very
think
good
so.
at developing offensive linemen, but mostly in the 3rd round.
When they're not named Josh Myers. All right, now you got the rival Vikings up next. J.J. McCarthy, looking like the golden era of him. Got to go Harmon. I think it's just perfect. You're looking to compete. He's a win now kind of pick. You need impact on the interior, and man, he's an above average pass rusher. He's an above average run defender. He's an above average athlete. He's not elite at any of them. He probably never will be, but he's going to be a plus starter for you in 2 years. He's going to be able to give you really great reps immediately. Smart player, a guy you want in the locker room. If you want Mason Graham, but in the 20s, you just take Derek Harmon.
There's nothing not to like about that.
Exactly.
I think that that's a great value for him as well. I still think people are a little bit behind the curve on Derek Harmon, not realizing that this is authentically a top 20 sort of player. I'll probably end up with a true 1st-round grade on him just because of the win now value. We'll have to see when everything is finalized, but that is rock solid.
Oh, yeah.
Now we've got the Texans picking at, 25?
25, yep.
I didn't expect that there would be so many potential tackles available here.
Oh,
Well,
this is perfect for them. And, so who's their new OC? Do we know yet?
I have no idea.
Because they fired Slowick. Otherwise, Membo would be perfect here.
Nick Caley. Do you know who that is?
No. Nick Haley. What has he done before? Rams pass game coordinator last year.
That's interesting.
Tight ends coach as well.
So they go Elijah Arroyo.
Yeah.
I do have
No,
a
they go-
Mecca Buka circled,
There go Harold Fannin.
obviously. You know, if Harold Fannin had a good Senior Bowl, like, I would entertain it.
There's so many guys that are still here that I cannot believe are still here.
You want to go tackle, right? Like,
Yeah, Blake Fisher was awful.
oh, man, you got to go line. You can't let C.J. Stroud go through that again. What is Josh Simmons' availability next season like? He should be fine.
Should be okay. That's the thing with those ACLs. It's just you never know.
I'm going to pull the trigger. A pass protector this good should not be available at this spot.
Yeah, nuts. And I'm not worried about the transition from left to right tackle.
No.
Yeah, he's just a great player. Pass protector, run blocker. Don't know if you have any complaints. Maybe you want to see the hands improve, but I feel like you can say that about every offensive line.
He's up there for guys in this class, I
Absolutely.
think.
Just an elite athlete, really long as well. There's in a class full of tackle guards, he is a pure tackle.
One of the only, like, truly, you said it, like, who is the next pure tackle? Josh Connerly?
I think Boo's a pure tackle.
You don't think you can put him at guard?
Well, I think you can put him at guard, but it's just like when I say like questions about whether you can play tackle, I am 100% confident he can play tackle.
Me too. Okay, yeah, okay. That's a fair assessment. Ursary, is he a pure tackle for you?
I don't think he's a pure player for me. I don't know if he's a pure football player.
You hate him that much?
I don't hate him. I just like
I'm low on him
you're
too.
drafting him because he's massive and he can move guys and you're gonna develop him, and you can develop him anywhere you want because ultimately he's just a guy you want to mold. So,
Daniel Falele light.
kinda, yeah.
Lighter.
Is he lighter? He is lighter than because Falele was like 6'8", 360.
I
He was big.
hilarious. Wrong sport. Should be playing basketball.
Yeah.
Should be a move blocking center. But who's gonna tell him to stop setting moving screens? He's just out there decking guys. You can't even decleat guys in basketball because they're not wearing cleats. He's de-basketball shoeing guys out there.
Jesus. Yeah, Simmons is a great athlete. He can frame guys really well off the edge. Great recovery athleticism. Nothing not to like, you know. And he's nasty in the run game. He's going to drive you backwards. He's going to sustain the block.
All right.
Rams at 26. Man, there's just a lot of players left. Mambu here is very intriguing. I need to take stock of who's still available. So give me a second.
Fair
Let
enough.
me just read off the names so we kind of have who I think probably you could take.
Oh, and by the way, Stafford
Zero.
is staying, just in case
He
you
is
or
staying.
any of our listeners have not heard.
Yes.
So they're staying in win now mode.
You got a Marion Hampton, Luther Burden's still here, Emeka Egbuka's still here, Matthew Golden, Armand Mambu, Connerly, I guess, Tyler Booker and Gray Zabel are both still here. Nope. Oh, wow. Trey Amos and Malachi Starks and Nick Manwari are still here.
Wow, Malachi Starks is still here. No safeties picked yet. This really isn't like an ass safety class.
Yeah.
After Xavier Watts, it's kind of slim pickings.
Let's see. Ooh. They also they're going to re-sign Alaric Jackson, which is really good. You gotta go. You gotta go secondary, man. It's just so bad.
I agree.
It's so bad back there, and Malachi Starks is a really good player.
They're trying to compete, and he's really going to help with that, I think.
He's a win now kind of guy, similar to Derek Harmon. He's a good athlete. He's a good zone corner. You can put him in man as well. Maybe he's never going to be elite, but he's just a damn good player, above average, Pro Bowl potential. A guy you love to add to the roster immediately. And re-signing Stafford, it's a recommit to we want to win, and Starks can help you win. I really did consider Burden, though.
And to be clear, we're both a little bit lower on Starks, definitely, considering he's still getting like top half of the first round hype. However, I do think this is a pretty rare value at 26 to get him in the building.
Insane.
All right, now I've got the Ravens at 27, and man, I got to take stock of who's still here.
Yeah.
Let me bring up the Ravens depth chart as well. Because I thought we would be getting into like Matthew Golden territory right now, but
I
this
think
is
we
just
are.
such a deep class. You think so?
Yeah, I think he's up there with Egbuka and Burden.
Well, I thought they would be gone.
Yeah.
Because I do think that I would prefer both of them over Matthew Golden, but not by a ton.
Why do they have tackle as a need? You got Stanley and Rosengarten, you're good.
Is that listed as a need on like PFF?
Yeah.
That's a weird choice.
There's no edges you really want to take.
No.
Go Chris Paul.
And I don't think that's... Why'd you go Chris Paul? Am I missing something?
I mean, do you really love Trenton Simpson?
No, but I don't think I love him enough that I'm willing to take Chris Paul
like
here.
Roquan Smith, yeah. I don't know. Receiver's tough because they need a big guy, and there's just not any big guys here.
No, not at all.
But that's every team. It feels like, okay, we've got Emeka Egbuka, we've got Luther Burden already. We just need a big guy. And that's why they're still here, because everybody already has them.
Daquan Felton,
Yeah.
your time has come.
Jaden Higgins, first round. Could happen. Honestly, might. We saw Leggett go first round last year. Teams, well...
Jaden Higgins, welcome to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes.
Write it in.
Really?
Literally.
Jaden Higgins...
We got to have, kind of an arbitrary pick in the BTS. I don't think he's a first-round talent.
Luther Burden is ranked 7. I have to scroll so far to get to Jaden Higgins. Okay, Jaden Higgins to the Ravens is 27.
Where do they have him listed?
64.
Okay. So a little bit lower than
Luther Burden is the number 7 player in their draft board, and we're picking Jaden Higgins before him. I think it's fair. Jaden Higgins at 27. Book it.
Add a new dimension
He's
to the
a
receiving
really-
game.
he's a
It's
really
what they
good
don't
player.
have.
He's a really good player. He's big. He'll take it out of the air. He's a classic big guy. I think he could be Cortland Sutton-esque in the league. And Cortland Sutton is a guy that you like as your number 1, ideal as your number 2, but he was serviceable as the Broncos' number 1 this past year. So could absolutely be that.
And Jaden Higgins, was one of the standouts at the Senior Bowl as well. And the Senior Bowl is not an event that incentivizes big-bodied wide receivers. This is a guy who I think his control over his routes is premium for a bigger-bodied target, a heavier guy. He'll block for you. Just a good fit.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's a little early.
Yeah. All right. Lions at 28. You got a lot. I'm actually curious. I want to see what's the offensive to defensive ratio so far? Because it cannot be high. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've made 27 picks. 9 of them have been offensive players.
This is a good defensive draft, Victor.
Yeah, we've picked less offensive players in the first 27 picks than they picked in the first 14 picks last year.
Defense wins championships.
Defense does. And we learned it last year. All right, Lions are on the clock, and this is weird because we have no idea really what they're going to be running with the scheme. All new coaching staff, but... Oh, yeah. Tyler Booker.
Yeah, I like that. Make a good offensive line even better.
Yeah, and you're probably losing Zeitler to free agency. He could be Kevin Zeitler easily.
There you go.
Just slot him in right there. First day kind of guy. Just a big, powerful blocker. Is he the most laterally smooth guy ever? No. Is he the least laterally smooth guy ever? No. But he's going to hit you. He is going to bite your kneecaps off. He's a classic Detroit Lions player. No complaints here. From Detroit, they'd love to have him at 28.
All right, now the Commanders at 29. And
This is where the receivers start to go, right? Because Commanders, Bills, Chiefs, Eagles.
I don't know. You got Maxwell Harrison sitting there.
Ooh, dude.
This has got to be a receiver, but which one?
That's a good question.
One of the things that helped Jaden Daniels really exceed expectations is how well he was able to work the middle of the field with frickin' Zach Ertz. It's like his short to intermediate trust target. I think you open up Terry McLaurin a little bit. If you're able to attack that area with a little bit more efficiency, make it a little bit more natural. But do you go Burden or do you go Egbuka?
That's a good question. Because Egbuka, you need guys that can just get open. Egbuka can get open. And you need guys that can catch football. Egbuka can catch the football.
And the thing is, if Olama, for as consistently unreliable, as consistently inconsistent as, Olamide Zaccheaus is, they've got some guys who have some wiggle after the catch. And obviously, that's not all Luther Burden is, but I'm going to go with Emeka Egbuka. I think they're extremely comparable, and that's going to help the Commanders win now because they are in win-now mode.
Fuck. I just realized the Chiefs are going to get Membu. Because I'm not taking him for the Bills. And so it's up to you. But, yeah, that would be pretty obvious. For the Bills, the Bills, I think this one's obvious. Luther Burden is available. You need a receiver desperately. And yeah, you already have a slot in Shakir. I get that. Joe Brady doesn't care. He will be able to use both of these guys. At some point, you just got to get talent in the receiving room, and you hope that Keon Coleman comes along. Burden is just a guy that you can throw it up to. He'll catch it. He's just going to make yards after the catch. He's going to make Josh Allen's life easier, and he's going to get open. He's good at getting open. They desperately need that. So Burden to the Bills at 30 seems like an easy pick here.
This is an offense that could drop 40 points at times during the regular season. Imagine making it even more frictionless with some actual playmaking talent.
Yeah,
it's
that's
going to be
just
fireworks.
nuts. I mean, you have to worry so much about Josh Allen. Now you have to worry about Luther Burden and RPOs, and you have to worry about him on screens and drags, and he can take anything to the catch, man. There were some plays at Mizzou last year. There was one. You might have watched it. I think it was Alabama. He caught the ball behind the line of scrimmage, 2 guys on him. He runs all the way across the line of scrimmage behind the offensive line, breaks like 6 tackles.
Now I remember it.
And gets a first down somehow. It's just like, yeah, the Bills could use that. I think anybody could use that.
Genty-esque.
Clearly not the first 29 teams, but the 30.
Debo Samuel!
Yes, he's Debo. No, he's not Debo, guys. I'm sorry.
They don't need a running back. They got Ty Johnson.
Exactly. Big game, Ty Johnson. All right, Chiefs at 31. How does it always happen?
So.
Need tackle.
Oh, absolutely they do.
Is there a good tackle on the board still? I'm not sure.
I feel like it was abundantly clear in the Super Bowl that they could really use help on the offensive line.
Yeah.
But you know what? They give up some
kicker.
deep shots as well. They do need kicker. Andres Borregales is available. You know, their safety room not looking the best.
Come on, man.
Do I have to?
Yeah. You do.
Armand Membu to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You know, if you gave me permission, I was going to pick Emenwari.
You can. Yeah,
Armand
you can,
Membu.
But Membu, yeah, is the correct pick.
Unfortunately.
He's a great player, great athlete, mover in space. And he knows what he's doing. I'm surprised. Because I don't have him this low. I don't know how he made it this far.
Are there, not all that many teams that need offensive tackle? Because people think about offensive tackle as, the scarce position.
Yeah. And it seems like a lot of...
Offensive tackle's deep right now.
But, yeah, look at these teams past 16. Because I don't know if I want them in the top 16. The Bengals...
It's not a need.
Yeah.
You got Amarius Mims.
Seahawks are good. Bucks are good. Broncos are good for now, but they could use a guy for the future. Cardinals they could use a right tackle.
They could.
Membu could have gone there, but Morrison was there, so we had to take him. Chargers are
rock solid.
Good, yeah. Pack are mostly good because you have Morgan coming back. Vikes are great. Texans took a tackle. Rams are good. Well,
they could use a guy.
They could have taken
Who did we take for the Rams?
Starks.
That's a better pick.
Yeah. Ravens are good because Lions are good. Commanders could have taken one, but that would have been 29, and that's an equally egregious fall. So.
And I thought about it. Yep.
Yeah. All right, Eagles on the clock. Feels like Howie's going to steal another one somehow, but how do I want to do it? Who is he going to take? I'm going to take the best player on my board because that's what he would do. I'm channeling my inner Howie Roseman. Who is the best player on my board is the question. Surprisingly, it seems like we've just run out of this tier of player.
I ran into the exact same thing when I was kind of game planning who my potential picks were for each, which, by the way, just having a list of potential first-round guys is dramatically better than what I did.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm looking at right now, but the best player on my board right now is O'Marion Hampton. I don't think they do that, though, because Saquon is around for the long haul.
Oh, no. There's no way.
Ooh.
They've got some defensive linemen that are free agents.
You would love a D lineman, but I just don't know if there's a guy I want here. I'm going to go Nick and Menwari.
That's what I had circled as well.
He's just... they love super athletes, and he's a super athlete.
Freaky athlete will be really effective in the box, I think. How old is he? Like, what year is he?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because
I think he's a true junior.
man, he really hovered around the line of scrimmage. He did not take a lot of reps as a
Yeah,
deep
no,
safety.
he just turned 21.
He's athletic enough to learn it and then some. I did see a pretty instinctive player in Eman Mori, which I think is why he's getting hyped. This is a player who could be like a Derwin James type of guy,
Yeah.
I think.
And you've got Fangio there.
Exactly.
And this is like a match, cover 6 match system similar to that kind of thing, and that is where he's great at because it allows him to use his athleticism in man coverage and learn zone. So
This is a Howie pick, I think.
this is very
This is
pick.
Howie caliber.
Oh yeah, because it really felt like there are 31 players in this tier, and we took 31 of them. And well, there's 32 if you include Marion Hampton, but he was not an option. I considered Zabel. He was the other guy. I was considering Amanwari, Zabel, and Chris Paul.
I think that's a fair list. The guys who I think kind of got snubbed a little bit in this mock draft were Gray Zabel and Omarion Hampton. After that, I do think it drops off. And even so,
I was looking to get Matthew Golden in.
and Matthew Golden, yup, completely forgot about him. I'm kind of not like as absurdly high on Gray Zabel as some people are.
Well, I mean, it's like he's a guy that you'll take in the second round, but you'd be okay with in the first round if that's just what the board falls. We'll take him in the first, but ideally we'd get him in the second.
People keep comping him to Graham Barton. And to be fair, I do think he plays center. I think he's a better center than he is a guard. Graham Barton was not good as a rookie.
But he was a good prospect.
He was a good prospect, but a similar type of prospect. And I'm just surprised that after Graham Barton was, I think, again, I'm not like ending his NFL career here. He could still be a very good player, but was a notably disappointing rookie. I'm surprised there's so much hype for, like, get this guy in the top 25 now.
But I think Zabel has a better core than Barton did. I think he's a better anchor.
That's fair.
And I think that's where Barton really struggled this year.
I don't think that Zabel is particularly powerful, but like you said, he is one of those guys who can just dig in the heels and sort of right himself when he's in a compromising position. Like, when he's starting to lose the leverage battle, it's just like, oh, I'm going to correct, and somehow I'm going to slide over, and you're still in front of me.
That's one thing Will Campbell is really good at, and that's why I don't have any worries about his anchor, because he's got one of the best recovery anchors in the class.
It's funny how when I was watching it, I think it was Walter Nolan, and you could just tell who all the LSU guys were. And I say this because I don't know if that part made it in the episode or not. But watching Will Campbell, he's just like a fly swatter. Like, you immediately could tell who the elite NFL prospect was in the footwork, in the strength, and the resistance to punches, and just his ability to work back and forth. Nobody was getting through him. Not at all.
Did you watch 2023 A&M versus LSU?
Yes, I did.
That defensive line at A&M consists of Shamar Stewart, Shamar Turner, Nick Scorton, and Walter Nolan.
It's a good group.
Yeah. And they won like 5 games.
Must have been a bad group elsewhere.
Thanks, Jimbo Fisher.
Nah. I'm excited for draft season. I thought this was a good 1.0,
Absolutely.
personally, and it's only going to get better from here.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a good 32 picks, more to build on, maybe 2.0. We'll have 2 rounds, maybe.
Possibly.
Depends on when we do it. But we're just getting to the point where we know all the first-round guys. We've watched a lot of them, most of them. I think I've watched most of the guys on this draft, so.
And this is all going to be useless because of the combine, and we all know that the 40 time decides how good prospects are.
Yep. I would implore you, if we're talking about defensive line prospects, most guys, obviously it's very important, but defensive line especially, 40 is pretty much irrelevant. The 10-yard split is what you look at. It's heavily weighted in my athlete. Like, I make my own RAS score just to brag. It's worse than Kent Lee Platt's, but I try to. Kent Lee Platt, RAS score, fantastic program. But I make my own where I weight it differently than he does because he weights everything equally. The 10-yard split is more weighted than the 40 for the defensive lineman because it's, you think about it, when do defensive linemen ever have to run 40-yard dashes? And they never do.
You stick him out there as a gunner.
Yeah, that's what the 40-yard dash is for, right?
Okay, imagine Milton Williams screaming downfield as a gunner.
He'd be a great one.
I'm not. I'm just getting out of the way.
Yeah,
Not of him, of the football.
Absolutely.
Let that thing roll.
That's how you force fumbles. You get Milton Williams back there. Imagine him standing in front of you when you're about to make a fair catch.
Breathing heavily.
Yeah, no. There's no way they haven't tried that in practice. Anyway, they're asked to run about 10 yards almost every single play. So pay attention to the 10-yard split. It's really important.
That's kind of my take on 40s. I think the 40 itself is really dumb. I think it should be divided into 10, 10, and 20.
Well, it is.
You gauge burst, but, I never see the flying 20.
The 20-yard split, it's not anywhere. I was trying to make a database of all of them, and it's not anywhere.
That's a much better gauge of long speed and as an overall speed metric, I do think that the 40 is fine. There are some positions where it matters more than others, like obviously a wide receiver and
Safety
cornerback.
is really important too.
That too. That being said, it does still have a bias toward guys that are good starters and not guys like every year. It feels like we have a wide receiver that's like, this guy ran a 4.52, but I saw him run away from Alabama quarterbacks. And it's like, yeah, he's a long speed guy, and it's biased against long speed guys. So I think that I don't mind having like a middle measurement as well in theory to gauge acceleration, because I do distinguish between burst, explosiveness, and acceleration. However, particularly the 10 split and the final 20, infinitely more valuable than the raw 40 time is.
Absolutely. And burst is that first 10 yards. Acceleration is the 10 to 20, in my opinion.
To get really pedantic, because obviously you're not measuring this because the measurements would get really stupid. I think my cutoff point is, I would say burst is like the first 3-ish steps, first 3 to 4.
Yeah.
And then, because if you're not accelerated by like 10 yards in, you should be arriving at your top speed by
true.
then.
So maybe 0 to 5 and then 5 to 20 is acceleration.
There you go.
They should do a 5-yard split.
The middle 15.
1 yard split, 2 yard split, 3 yard split, 4 yard split.
Now, if we're really going to get into the weeds here, I think the one issue I would have with that is I feel like the 5-yard split would be who is coached the best to run the 40.
That's true.
Not who is the most necessarily athletic off the line of scrimmage. Yeah. There are a lot of conversations you can have about the underwear Olympics we're currently undergoing.
That's why you don't put too much stock into combine. The combine scores should just back up what you saw on tape. Like that's what's important. You need to watch the film so you know what you're looking at athletically, and then you're just like, oh, he tested about where I thought he would? Great. That means that it's like Barron. He checked the box of long speed. Some people had some concerns, but I was like, no, I think he has good long speed, and then he runs the 4.39. I was like, yeah, he does. We're good. There are no concerns there. So, and only when you have something drastically different where it's like, okay, that's where the combine's useful. Why was this drastically different? And you can figure stuff out from there, but generally it means nothing.
So when Isaiah Bond runs a 4.12,
has he ran yet? Let me see. Maybe he ran while we were talking. Or did they run tomorrow?
I think they run tomorrow. I don't think it's today. I think today is DBs only.
I thought it was DBs and receivers.
That would be a lot of guys, because they don't do O-line and D-line together.
Ooh, Harold Fannin ran a 4.73. You would like that?
He's day 3.
Yeah. Ferguson ran a 4.64 though. That's kind of crazy.
Oh, holy hell, a 4.73. Wow. That sucks. I liked him.
Mason Taylor's not running.
Not surprising.
He's dead now. He's dead to me.
He'll be a big slot who plays for sure, I think. Yeah. I think for sure.
Oh, yeah. He'll play. I'm trying to look for other stuff. Who are we talking about?
Did Arroyo run?
I doubt it. Maybe. I think they're in the process of running right now.
Shamar Turner was an interesting one at not Shamar Turner. God, why are there so many Shamars?
There's a lot of Shamars in this one.
Shamar James, Florida's linebacker who looked really athletic at the Senior Bowl. He ran a not very good at all 40 time. However, he was like second in 10-yard split.
Yeah.
He had very good agility testing numbers and questionable explosiveness numbers. So just kind of an interesting profile from him.
Yeah, that's where the combine is. Some of that athleticism is. Some combine athleticism is not on-field athleticism. Xavier Worthy's not the fastest receiver ever. He's probably not even top 3 fastest receiver in the league. He's very fast, but he's not true. He's not like a true 4.21. You know what I mean? There's on-field speed and there's combine speed.
According to NFL.com, who must not have T-Ferg in yet, his time must be. Well, all these are unofficial, but his time must be really new. 6 guys have ran. And each one was between 4.73 and 4.77.
Jeez.
Bartholomew and Fannin at 4.73s C.J. Dippre, the blocker out of Alabama, at a 7.4, along with Mitchell Evans, the blocker out of Notre Dame. They just got T. Ferguson now at a 4.64. Thomas Fedone, the blocker from Nebraska, running a 4.7. Brenning Stool, who might be the worst football player in the history of football players, a 4.75. And finally, Jalen Conyers. They had all the blocking guys run at once, a 4.77 out of Texas Tech. So there's a little random-ass combine preview reaction.
Surely the receivers run tomorrow. Surely. I'm curious about this, though. Who cares? I'm sorry, man. Google's useless. Never mind.
It is now.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
All right. You ready to get out of here?
I think so. That was a good 1.0, Victor.
That was really good. I'm excited for 2.0. What do we think we got in the docket next week? We could do top 5s or top 10s. Like a specific position top 10, I guess.
We'll discuss that
Yeah.
if I'm not laying in bed for the entirety of next Friday due to exhaustion.
Fair enough. We'll figure it out.
But
it
it
will
will be fun.
We will
Yeah,
have an
definitely,
episode.
Definitely.
We will have an episode.
All right. To all our loyal listeners who stuck with us through what's definitely over 2 hours at this point. We're at 2:15 on the recording. As always, run fast and stay hard.
Nice.